My name is Jochiza. Let's humble ourselves for the word of prayer. Loving Father, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you so much for the College of Health Sciences, which is marking 100 years. Heavenly Father, the King of Glory, we are beseeching you for the next 100 years. We are here, Heavenly Father, to dialogue on how best we can run the next 100 years. Dear Lord, in this dialogue, we seek your guidance. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. We will now stand for the anthems.
Mungu twaomba unilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tulilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Makerere, Makerere, we build for the future. The great Makerere, great, great and mighty, the walls around thee. Great, great and mighty, the gates beside thee. Great, great and mighty, the walls around thee. Great, great and mighty, the gates beside thee. From east and west, from north and south, all voices singing arise. Makerere, rise up and rise. High up and high, all voices singing arise. Makerere, 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 we build for the future. The great Makerere, great, great and mighty, the walls around thee. Great, great and mighty, the gates beside thee. Great, great and mighty, the walls around thee. Great, great and mighty, the gates beside thee.
Thank you very much, everyone. We will now proceed with having the principal of the College of Health Sciences make a few remarks. Associate Professor Bruce Chirenga, you're welcome to make a few remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Good afternoon, everyone. My role here is to welcome you to this dialogue. I must say, I'm very pleased and delighted to see that you have prioritized this activity. I want to thank the organizing committee of CHS at 100 that has organized this public lecture. Secondly, I want to thank our panelists who have accepted to participate. But most importantly, I want to thank Professor Sewankambo, who is the main speaker for taking up the responsibility to give this Sentinel public lecture. I also want to thank all of you who have come to attend, both physically and online. I want to thank the university top management, led by our Vice Chancellor, Professor Nawangwe, for creating an environment of growth and vibrancy. As part of my thinking, I don't want to preempt what the panelists are going to discuss, but healthcare and healthcare professionals in Africa is characterized by a phenomenon which has been changing over time. One, we know that we have far much fewer healthcare professionals than we need. I won't go into the statistics. But at the same time, we also live in sort of an abundance of healthcare professionals. This is a trend that will need a lot of thought. Some of you may have seen in social media where 6 jobs were advertised and 1,400 doctors applied. This kind of paradox needs us to put our brains together to find a solution. My second, I think last comment is, as we come to celebrate 100 years of CHS, we need to ask ourselves, what are we actually celebrating? You that is seated there, what are you going to celebrate? If we are going to have a successful celebration, this has to be personal. Me as Bruce, when I carry my champagne to the celebration, what am I going to be celebrating? You, the medical students, when you are seated here, what are you actually celebrating? You, as Makerere University as a whole, what do you celebrate from the medical school? You as Uganda, as Africa and the world. This is the message I want to leave with you as we plan to celebrate these 100 years. Let's make it personal. Let's feel it in whichever way the medical school has touched us. I must say that celebration is not universal. Yeah? Probably some of you or some people who are not here, they could be mourning. They say, no, the worst thing to have happened to me are those guys over there. This speaks to our alumni. When we get out of the gates of the College of Makerere, do we go celebrating? This is very critical. Nationally, you've seen even when there are some celebrations, some group of people say, no, we are not going to go that thing. They go and hold a separate meeting. But it's my prayer that the celebration of the medical school of Makerere University will be universal. Thank you so much, and I wish you good listening and discussions.
Thank you very much, Professor Kirenga. We'll now move on to the next part of our agenda, where I will quickly introduce our main speakers. But before I do that, I would also like to introduce Mr. Robert Kapushenga, who is, I'm sure, known to many of us. Somebody said to me, make sure that he doesn't take over the he can be brutal sometimes, but I hope. But we wanted somebody from the outside to moderate this conversation, because I think we are getting rid of any biases. So please, I hope you left your biases outside the door, because we want to just have candid conversations. And in fact, about 3-4 days ago, Robert sent me a message asking, where can I go? Who can I go to? Where can I go for a proper full checkup? And I said, in my mind, I said, but Robert, I am also you can come to me. But I decided not to pursue that thought. But these are the things. I think all of us, right, at some point will interface with our healthcare system, whether that's in the private health sector or the public health sector. And I think one of the things we would like, in terms of the direction, that whenever you have interfaced with the healthcare system here, that you will live with 3 words in your mind: confidence, trust, and satisfaction. I think that's part of the reason we're initiating this dialogue. And so there's a lot to discuss, and I hope that it will be with the goal of eventually changing things in our healthcare system. And so as we proceed, I just want to introduce Professor Nelson Sawankambo, who is a highly respected physician, academician, and medical researcher with decades of leadership in medical education and health system strengthening. He's an emeritus professor of medicine and former principal of the College of Health Sciences at Makerere University, where he played a key role in transforming health professions training to meet Uganda's evolving health needs. He has been instrumental in advancing innovative, context-specific approaches to medical education and training as far as capacity building is concerned in Africa. And so we appreciate his contributions to curriculum reform, ethical practice, and health research, particularly in the area of infectious diseases. And so he brings to this dialogue a wealth of experience in shaping the future of health professions education in Uganda and beyond. We also have Professor Francis Omaswa, who's a distinguished cardiovascular surgeon, as an academic and health policy leader, currently the executive director of the Africa Center for Global Health and Social Transformation, and has served as chancellor of both Busitema and Soroti universities. As an alumnus of Makerere University and a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, Professor Omaswa has played key roles in shaping global health policy, including being a founding leader of the Global Fund to fight AIDS, TB, and malaria, and Stop TB Partnership. He's also the founding president of the College of Surgeons of East, Central, and Southern Africa. So we really appreciate these 2 gentlemen for making time to come and lay the ground for this public dialogue. Professor Sawankambo.
Oh, these lights always kill my eyes. As you know, my eyes are already dying, and the lights don't really do good to me. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me thank the organizers of this dialogue this afternoon for inviting me as the main speaker on this event. I was in 2 minds when I was invited, whether I accept or decline. And actually, that's what I thought at that time. Should I accept or decline? But I said, I'll accept. Incidentally, principle, I have started speaking at 2:20. I should have started at 2:10 and stop at 2:40. When do you want me to stop? At 2:40? Okay. So in that case, let me not take time on the niceties, but you asked us to think, what are we celebrating? Personally, when you asked that question, I said to myself, I'm celebrating having gone through the medical school at that time and served Makerere from then up to now. I joined this university in 1971 July. Amin had taken over power as the president of this country in January 1971. Simple calculation dictates that from 71 to this time, these are 53 years. Of the 53 years, the time I have not been connected with Makerere is only 2 years. Only 2 years. In fact, less than 2 years. Which are those years? Those are the years or the time when I left, when I completed internship at Mulago Hospital, and I was sent to cover the hospital for the year. And I completed my internship, and my colleagues there really worked on me to stay longer. After another 4 or 5 months, I said, no, I have to leave this place, because if I stay longer, I'll never leave Kabale. So that's the time I was away. So I was a student here. I did internship in Mulago Hospital, where, as you know, most of you, I'm sure, is that Mulago Hospital and Makerere Medical School were basically the same. Then I'm away, as I've described to you, and then I came back for my master's in internal medicine, which I did, and soon after completion, I was invited to apply to join Makerere. And since then, I've been on faculty. I retired 3 years ago, and I was invited to be an emeritus professor. And I was in the same situation, like whether I should give this talk this afternoon or not. I took time to decide whether I should, and I decided to take it up. And the letter says, as an emeritus professor, you are free to remain part of this university until your death. However, we will have no salary for you. You will have to look after yourself. And I'm here looking after myself. The title of this presentation is Current State of the Future Directions of Health Professions Training in Uganda. When you look at that title carefully, it is double-barreled. It has two meanings, and I don't know which one you saw. The first meaning is that, as you know, there's a new discipline, a specialty called health professions education or health professions training. Are we talking about that discipline? What is its current state, and what is the future direction of that specialty? The other meaning is that there are health professionals sitting here and online. Are we talking about the training of professionals, and where are we in the current state, and when are we going into the future? I've decided that I'll combine both of these, because if I choose one or the other, some speakers may think that I'm lost. what is a profession, first of all. To be sure that we are having the same conversation, some people, there are different understandings as to what is a profession. One definition I found is that a profession is a type of work that requires specialized knowledge and training, and often a formal qualification. That it is typically associated with a high-level skill and ethical standards, and a commitment to serving the public good. And I felt happy when I saw that, and serving the public good, because of the decision I had made to stay with Makerere with no salary for the rest of my life, serving a public good. Professions involve a degree of autonomy and self-regulation within a specific field. So for profession, there must be self-regulation and autonomy. They decide on what to do and what not to do, and the ethical standards. Health professionals, however, are part of the health workforce. So health professional, we've talked about a profession, but who is a health professional? Health professional is part of the health workforce. But we are not talking about health workforce. We are talking about, in that title, health professional. Although members of the health workforce, some members may be professionals, health professionals. So the point I'm trying to make here is, let's not just mix up health professional and health workforce. They are not the same. There's some difference. Okay, in the medieval times, and even in modern tradition, they recognized only three professionals or professions: divinity, medicine, and law. Only those three. But as the world goes on changing, they recognize more and more professions. So, healthcare professional means an individual who is licensed, registered, or certified under state laws or regulations to provide health services. What is health professions training? That new discipline. There has been a realization that simply because I'm a qualified internist and especially superb internist or surgeon or pediatricians, that I'm able to train, to educate future professionals. Being a specialist healthcare provider does not make you necessarily a good educator. When that was realized a number of years ago, that's how the health professions education specialty began to develop. Those of you who are in the business of training or educating or being educated, please take time to attend health professions education sessions. You don't say, I know it. Go and see, how do you best train a health professional? Training a health professional is not the same as training a teacher. It is interesting, in the years gone by when I was dean and was focusing on this issue quite a bit, there was a tug of war between the School of Education here on campus and us in the School of Medicine, saying that training is their territory. And I said, but there's a difference. And the tug of war went on for a bit until they accepted and realized that there is a difference. There are many things which are the same, but there is a difference. So once upon a time, I became a dean of medical school. I vividly remember as dean and chairing the faculty board, and I remember the spot I was standing at. I said, we shall soon be requiring each of you, faculty, teachers, to have a certificate in a health professions education. Just like you must have a certificate to drive, a license to drive, in order to put the vehicle on the road. We want you to have a license to teach instead of just walking in and teaching. And the whole idea was to emphasize the idea of we are not all good teachers simply because we have the health professions specialty or specialization that we carry. So one of the many things as dean and principal, I made it my goal that ensure that this profession begins to grow and grow. And I'm very happy that it has grown. And many people, a number of people are interested in health professions. People have done master's degrees in health professions education when they are obstetricians, gynecologists, and so on. And some have done PhDs actually in the field. So to get us started at that time, I got a grant in partnership with the University of Maastricht, and we got a grant which started off on that journey. We linked up with a number of institutions that were taking health profession seriously, like McMaster University, like University of New Mexico. It's not in New Mexico, by the way, University of New Mexico. It's in the state of New Mexico, in the city of Albuquerque, in the United States. We teamed up, or we joined networks that were doing health professions education, like the Foundation for Advancement of International Medical Education and Research, FEMA, and another one towards Unity for Health, of which we are still members. In fact, in FEMA, I was on the board of FEMA, and I used to go to Philadelphia twice a year to attend the board meetings. And I used to put out a cry. We need to set up such a thing at Makerere or in Uganda in order to advance health professions education. So I'm happy to report, just in case you don't know, that today there is a FEMA Institute hosted by Makerere College of Health Sciences. The dean is here. She could tell you more about it. And it is training people, 2-year fellowships among health professional practitioners. This morning, one of our colleagues sent something on the college WhatsApp, and it attracted my attention immediately. Usually, I don't play with these things as much as I see students do and some faculty do. I put it there, and I do my work, and it rings, and I'm doing my work because I don't want too much interruption. And by the way, in the United States, I listened to a talk last week regarding the negative impact of being with this phone all the time and responding to anything that comes in. Very fascinating. So with this morning, what I saw on this thing was a short piece, which was in the East Africa e-paper. And it had the following article: Makerere, Mbarara universities are falling behind. Here is why. That was the title, in case you haven't read it. If you haven't, read it. Not now, but afterwards. But I tell you what it said. A must, that is in Mbarara University of Science and Technology, a student who is year 2, stated that he joined the university full of high energy because he felt he was going to a highly reputable university famed for its focus on science and technology. However, student numbers have surged over the years, but the facilities, teaching facilities, have not kept pace. Labs are always overcrowded. Basic tools like centrifuge and test tubes are in short supply. A tool which should be used by one person is used by as many as 6. How 6 use one test tube, I don't know. In March, a joint inspection by Uganda Medical and Dental Practitioners Council and Uganda National Council for Higher Education, for the 5th time, they inspected MAST, and that their labs were in a bad state. They wanted to take a drastic action on this occasion, such as suspending admissions. Is that strange? I've heard that before, even in Makerere. We'll get to that later. They went on to explain, or the paper went on to explain, that the reason MAST is finding itself in that situation, at least one of the major reasons, is because of a 2019 government reform that changed how public universities manage their finances as a root cause. Universities, from paying students, they used to pay to the university, and the university manages its funds and uses those funds to purchase lab supplies in part and to do other things. However, in 2019, there was the change in government policy that students should pay to the Uganda Revenue Authority instead of to the universities. Uganda Revenue Authority. And that changed the framework of work. They argued that this was to curb what they thought there was a fraud and to enhance transparency. That when universities collected money, the government or Ministry of Finance didn't know how much the universities were collecting. Didn't you ask them? Didn't you check their books? I was asking myself as I read this. This sounds like the story we had before with hospitals that were running some official private clinic where patients would pay in order to be seen in those clinics across the country. And then at one time, when we were going into elections, that was abolished. So, when the money goes to Uganda Revenue Authority, it takes time to be sent back to universities. And the explanation was that government at that time wouldn't be having money. But the students paid money And it got there. How can you tell us that there is no money and therefore you cannot send it back to the university? And so the universities limp on and they limp on. That is part of the problem. But other students said that numbers have surged. Yesterday, I took interest in checking the numbers at the College of Health Science, only undergraduate. And I was definitely amazed, even though I'm part of that college. When I joined, School of Medicine was teaching only doctors. That was the thing that we were teaching or educating. And in my year, we were 110 students. 1971. The new students coming in 25, 26, I'm seeing my phone seems to be moving too fast. And time is running out when I have plenty to say. But 25, 26, and the students are reporting next week, the new students. How many are they? Take a guess. They are a total of 600 students. But the facilities there have not really changed much. Although School of Public Health has this building here, which School of Public Health used to be in the, the building down there. But now there is this, which is not yet complete, but it is an expansion. And there's the Infectious Diseases Institute over there. And there's the School of Dentistry just across here. But 600 students. The other interesting piece is that 200 of those are government students, 202 to be exact. 410 are private students, paying students. Is this a public university or it is a private university in which we sprinkle government-sponsored students? What was the situation last year? Last academic year, they admitted 180 students, government, plus 228 private. That comes to a total of 300 students. By the way, the students, those are not all medical students. No, it's the total combination of undergraduate students. So students of environmental health, which is under public health, students of medicine, students of pharmacy, dentistry, medical engineering, and so forth. It's that total group. It's not all medical students. And the year before, in 2023-24, again, government students were 2021 and private students 2049. That comes to about 460. Now, what happens? Can you imagine? The student described of Mbarara, lab inputs are not there. How do you train a good practitioner when the environment in which they train is less than appropriate? And by the way, these universities don't own hospitals. They use government hospitals. But the blame goes back to the universities, or they are not doing that. But the teaching environment is what it is. So what do you expect to get? You will get a student who is frustrated, students who cannot learn because the environment is not that ideal, students who lose interest. This is not a profession I thought I'm coming to join. And when they graduate, add their father's frustration that the internship, they don't have opportunity for internship as easily. What do you expect to happen? That is the current state of training health professionals. Health professionals. Now, it's not only students who get frustrated. Let's think deeply. It's teachers also who get frustrated. When you can't impart the knowledge, the skills, because there's no this, there's no this, there's no this, there's no this, the teacher feels frustrated. What am I doing here? And who am I training? Who else gets frustrated? It is you and me, the people looking for health services, because the fellows were not well exposed and well trained. So, instead of blaming the universities, we should blame ourselves because we are part of this environment. We are not providing what is required for the next generation to train and be happy and be able to stay and serve until their minds let them down or their physical health lets them down. MAST was lucky. They did not suspend admissions. If it was Makerere, as has often before, it would be a tough decision. A tougher decision would have been taken. So, about 7 years ago, the Department of Dentistry, they came, they inspected, and they said, this, no. And there was, no, let me leave that. When they inspected, what did they decide? That we suspend the admission of dental students at Makerere because the conditions are not adequate. That's what I mean. If it was Makerere, it would be a tougher decision. But Mbarara, they used the kid gloves. So we've had before what they found in Mbarara, but Mbarara is not unique. All public institutions, they are facing the same problems. A couple of solutions I would suggest. You see, universities, by their genetic makeup, that's what universities are. They are places of competition. They compete for grants. They compete to be promoted under very tough requirements. They're used to competition. But how should we move forward? I suggest that we should inculcate a spirit of collaboration across institutions. And we've had it before. Again, when I was, I think at the end of my internship, but through, when I was principal, we had a program called MEPI, Medical Education Partnership Initiative, and Professor Maswa knows it very well. He was very active there. The medical schools in Uganda, we ganged up, we teamed up. The grant was supposed to be for Makerere, but I said, guys, let's bring the other institutions with us, because it's no point Makerere excelling when the other institutions are left behind. Because if I get in an accident, driving, I know, let me use my good friend, the speaker after me. When he's driving home, Soroti, and gets an accident, God forbid, they will take him to the nearest place for care. He doesn't know who he will find there. He doesn't know where that fellow has been trained. It's the same with my colleague, Dr. Okello. He will. So we need to train the people who train in those other places should be good, so that, because we don't know who is in need of services at any time. I'll not ask my dean now. I'll ask Dr. Mayer, how much time do you give me extra? Huh? 2 minutes? Okay. I shouldn't have asked you. Anyway, collaboration. I wanted to turn to Makerere. Let me tell you the Makerere story. I've grown up being told, and I believe it, stories are interesting. Stories convey messages instead of PowerPoint and the statistical things up here. So 48 hours ago, today is Friday, 48 hours ago on Wednesday, again, on the college WhatsApp, there was the following. The School of Dentistry, which is right across the street, the School of Dentistry, 75% of its faculty have been offered positions by Ministry of Health. Ministry of Health put out adverts similar to what he referred to. And these people, from assistant lecturer to lecturer, maybe senior lecturer, went for interviews. And they have been swept out of dentistry. 75%, that is if they all accept to join. And I think they will. So what are you left with? And how are you going to train the dentist students who have come to that institution? And part of the problem, I think, here is the ministries, the government departments that are supposed to sit together and plan, they never plan for health professions education. We don't know how many doctors they want to graduate in anyone here. They can't even plan for internship. The planning is not available. And therefore things happen the way they happen. So going to the Ministry of Health appointments, that's a government department. The School of Dentistry is a government department. But there is no discussion between education and health. And we insisted when we were doing MEPI to have discussions with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. And I can tell you it was wonderful. We had regular meetings. We would go and sit in Ministry of Education, sit in Ministry of Health, and finally there were joint meetings between education, health, and us, the universities, which were in MEPI, and we did some good things. And that's how we came to push that Busitama University opens a medical school, which they had refused for the previous 5 or 6 years. I think I'll stop here, but I'm sorry that you haven't heard the rest of the story, because the rest of the story was actually the bone marrow. It is the most interesting.
It's hard to stop Professor Sawankamba when he starts. But thank you very much, Professor Sawankamba, for your insights. And in order to manage time, I will quickly invite Professor Omaswa. I think it's important to also note that this is the first conversation about these issues. We hope that the college principal, who will still be here next year, will allow us to continue this conversation. Professor Omaswa.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's so nice to see you, and so nice to be here in this new building of the College of Health Sciences, which is on the main campus and not in our Mulago home. And we belong to both places. I was asked by the president of the Uganda Medical Association's forum, Dr. Epuat Apollo, to make this presentation. I think mainly because we've been working over time to address these very issues that are here as elders of the Uganda Medical Association. We feel concerned that there are issues which are there and whose job it is for us to address. So the arrow is not moving forward. Next slide, next slide. Oh, okay. So the real question is, what have we come to do here this afternoon? And I'll go back to history. 60 years ago, Makerere was working together with the new medical school in Nairobi. The government of Kenya negotiated with Glasgow University to come and start the medical school there. While they had their new students in pre-clinical sciences, they asked Makerere to send cohorts of students to be taught by Glasgow teachers, but at Kenyatta National Hospital, which was going to be the teaching hospital for their medical school. They wanted to prepare the hospital to receive their own students. So students were asked to go from Makerere by volunteering. And when the first cohort of students was senior students, Professor Lwenyi was one of them. He was like 4 years ahead of me. Then the next cohort, they said, let's take the youngest, and that was now my group. I was one of those who volunteered to go. And one of the teachers from Glasgow, they were taking us through, we were clerking in internal medicine. He said, you people are very good. Please don't let your standards slip, because if they slip, it will be very difficult to get them back again. And that, I believe, is what we are trying to do here today, to stop our standards from slipping, because if they do, it will be much harder to bring them back. And it is true that 60s, that's when I was an undergraduate student there, 64 to 69, was one of the best seasons at the Makerere Medical School. That's the time of the Burkitt's lymphoma being described, Buruli ulcer, EMF, and all those type of things. And I understand that Makerere had been nominated for a Nobel Prize because of making those new discoveries and the way things were moving. It was also at that time that the head of Department of Surgery, Sir Ian McAdam, decided to start preparing students to go and do exams of the Royal College of Surgeons of England. So he would bring students from the region here, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, prepare them for 1 year, and invite examiners to come from London. And behold, lo and behold, I think they say, the pass rate of the Makerere students was 10 times better than the pass rate of the students who were taking the exams in London. So that is how things were, and you know, we always had a good reputation. You know, I have gone around also with my Makerere credentials and been treated very well just because they heard that I was from Makerere. So we want to stop the slip, and my talk is in 2 parts. The first one, you'll see some slides, and the main purpose of the first part of the talk is to switch ourselves on, because it is we who are going to stop that slip, and we must do it. You know, it's very common in this country and in many places. Things are not working well. We know they are not working well, but what to do? You just find another solution and carry on living with the problem normally. We have to reject that. All those things, like a child dies of malaria, you say God has called the child, and so on. Those are things which we must reject, because we can do something about that. We must not live normally with things which we are not happy with. And it is we to find the solutions. Please help me with this. Something is not right. I see. I can use that. Then that is not working. What's the next slide? Can we go back? Let's just confirm that we have. Okay, maybe I can just talk. It would have been better I spent so much time preparing the slides. So the main points I want to share, number one, and that is by far the most important, in order for us to address this issue of health professions education better, we need better health workforce planning. Professor Sabankambo referred to it. That's why I'm very pleased to see the director from the Ministry of Education here, Safina Musene, who, by the way, is one of us. She's a nurse. And I'm also very pleased to see Dr. Driwale, who is the new commissioner for health workforce development and so on in the Ministry of Health. I don't know if there is anyone here from public service, from finance and so on. I would have liked to have them here also. I spent time, almost the last 20 years, I've been engaged with this topic of health workforce, having served as the executive director of the Global Health Workforce Alliance at Geneva headquarters, WHO Geneva. And what we have learned and what we advise is that, number one, each country should have that structure. It is called country facilitation and coordination, where you have a committee with stakeholders sitting there together and making plans for the country, including defining a resource envelope. Because once we do that, then other things can follow. Then the other key point to share is that we now know what we should be doing in training health workers. There have been a number of commissions and task forces which were set up for this purpose. In fact, one of the earlier ones, we've been participating there, the Joint Learning Initiative, Nelson Sawankambo, you were a member of that. They were the first group. They worked for more than a year and pointed out what they described as the global health workforce crisis of shortages, maldistribution, poor working conditions, and so on. And then the next big commission, again, Makerere was represented, David Serwada, you were a member of the Lancet Commission on health workers for the 21st century. And they also made recommendations. I was also a member of the scientific committee for that one. So we know what to do. That commission recommended we should be producing experts, people who are knowledgeable. We should be also getting them to become professionals who have got values, ethics. We should be teaching them to become self-directed learners. And to me, the most important of all, to be change agents. People who don't watch things happening and say, sorry, there is nothing that I can do. But people who watch something is not right, I'm going to fold my sleeves and do something about that. That is what is missing, and that is why I hope if we take away anything from here, that will be the key message that we will take from here. So the Uganda Medical Association Elders Forum, we held a meeting at Soroti University, which was well attended. We had more than 100 people coming from all over the country in that meeting. And we noted there our good history, and also were concerned about the various complaints which are out there about the quality of health services in our country. You reach a situation when you have more than 1,000 interns sitting at home doing nothing. How did we get there? It is because of lack of planning, lack of leadership. And that leadership issue is also big. Dr. Adriwale is now sitting in that office. We need an office in the Ministry of Health which does this planning. How many have gone into training? How many have come out? How many are employed? How many have retired? How many need to come in? And what skills are needed? If you have 1 million deliveries a year, how many midwives do you have? Do you need? How many obstetricians? How many neonatologists? Those are the skills we need to have in the country, particularly based in the Ministry of Health, and then shared with the other sectors. And the training should then be planned according to that. So this is what this meeting was about. And in the red at the bottom there, you say our stewardship and relative roles are important. So this is also a message just to wake us up. It's an old slide, but it is not much different now. It just shows how Africa is lagging behind other regions of the world in health indices. And we are here, very well educated people, and we are living normally with this type of situation. Let's move away from this. Let's do something to make sure that we close the gap between us and the others, and we can do it. And of course, education is critical. It is critical. It is really the underlying source of the workforce crisis. We are not producing enough. We are not preparing them well to do their job. And therefore, our conversation about education is in the right place. Let's get it done properly. And there you are, education factors. That is Professor Donga. Some of you older ones will remember him. That's what he used to say about the medical school in Makerere. We don't want to be a bad factory. we will be producing poor quality products. And we also did, this is now MakCHS, we did a study, counted all the medical schools in Africa. So how many are they? At that time, I think this was 2010, and these were the issues. There were faculty shortages throughout, infrastructure gaps throughout, and the emergence of the private sector was a major factor in new schools coming up, and as we will talk later, it is an issue of quality, the role of the private sector in health professionals' education. And what type of people do we want to produce? These are the type of graduates we are looking for. We need people who are prepared to work where their services are needed, not those who are looking after themselves first and foremost. They should be able to handle the common conditions in their communities very well indeed. And they should be able to use the resources they have to perform the best quality of care that is possible. I spent 6 years at Ngora Hospital doing exactly that, demonstrating how surgical services can be delivered with minimal cost. And we did a terrific job there, carrying out a lot of surgery with very limited resources. And it is possible, it can be done. Just with your 5 senses, your eyes, your touch, your smell, you can make a lot of diagnosis. And a lot of the conditions also common in the community are not difficult to treat. And then that one there is one which is, to me, very important. Clinical excellence as a foundation for teaching and research. This was part of the discussions we used to have during MEPI. And my Makerere Medical School was like that. Nelson, you are talking about health professions education. That's important. But what to me is even more important is that training health workers or health professionals is an apprenticeship. You get attached to someone who knows how to do the job well, and you learn because you are watching them as they are doing it. This is why I was very concerned along the way with our medical schools here. I was asked to chair a task force on reforms in Makerere along the way. And I talked at that time separately to Professor Sewankambo when he was principal of the college, and then also to Yaruhanga, who was the director of Mulago Hospital. And I was very saddened to note that there was discord between these two. They were complaining against each other. You know, BB was saying, oh, those Makerere people, they're just looking at their laptops and making money and so on. They don't work. And also, the medical school was saying that the hospital was not providing them with what they needed to teach students. So it will be very important indeed, Dr. Driwale and Dr. Musene, that each of our health training institutions has a place where the students can go and watch good people practicing good medicine, whether they are nurses or doctors or whatever. And it also takes us to another issue. Of course, being leaders and change agents, I've talked about that already, people who don't just sit and live normally with wrong things, and being self-directed learners for the rest of their lives. There are always new things coming, and effective communicators. So those are the attributes of the competencies of the type of graduate that we are looking for. We need quality assurance to make sure that this works. Strong regulatory bodies, I see them on the program, I hope they will be here talking. And then independent accreditation. I don't know how the dental school here was closed, and another medical school with the same weaknesses in the same country was not closed. I don't know. I have been a chancellor of 2 universities, still chancellor of 1, and those people come to those medical schools and they give those orders also, don't admit, and then we respond and call them back again, and they allow us to continue with the school. So this independent accreditation and a strong regulatory body is needed. But I know that our regulatory bodies are underfunded and not able to do their jobs. Sometimes they are intimidated. You say you close this, and then you get a phone call from another person says, why don't you leave those people alone? So we really must fight that. We shouldn't allow that to happen. The regulator should be in charge. Close, you close. Open, you open. And of course, strong professional associations also are very important indeed. Very important, even in education. You heard, I think when I was being introduced, that I was the founding president of the College of Surgeons of East, Central, and Southern Africa. That drive to get that college set up was my experience at Mulago Hospital. There, they would send interns there to do internship, 6 months in general surgery. But during that time, we took them around everything, pediatrics, obstetrics, and what in 6 months, they were able to do a lot of things as general duty medical officers. Then it became very clear to me that the place to train health professionals is where the work is being done and being done properly. And at that time, all these national teaching hospitals, Mulago here, no water, no gauze, no what. That was the same situation with Kenyatta National Hospital, UTH in Lusaka in Zambia. And we said, let's start training outside these so-called teaching hospitals. That's how the College of Surgeons of East, Central, and Southern Africa was established. Took a long time convincing everyone, but it is now the largest college training surgeons in Africa. And we went to their 25-year celebrations in Zimbabwe. Thousands of people, thousands of graduates. So when we are talking about quality of training, these professional courses, everyone has got them now. The internal medicine people have got through the same college, also obstetricians, anesthetists, and so on. Let's also think about them, particularly for postgraduate training. Then supportive supervision. Supervision is key. If you don't supervise, the people go to sleep, and things just go wrong. Supportive supervision, and supportive supervision means supervision which doesn't go to find faults. Hey, you there, why don't you do this? You should stop doing that. No, it is different. How can I help you? That is the supportive supervisor. To the extent that the supervisee feels that you are a friend and not an inspector or a policeman. And then educated demand from the public. The public, many of our situations, you take your child to a medical clinic, they give you a prescription, there are no drugs, go and buy this, you just shrug your shoulders and go and find another solution, instead of going to the LC 1 or 2 or 3 or to the district and say, why are there no medicines here? Educated demand from the public is very, very important indeed. And then being able to assess yourself, it's part of the quality assurance strategy. Am I doing the right thing? How do I know that I'm doing the right thing? You keep asking yourself that question over and over and over, forever and ever. So this is an important slide. I'm not going to spend much time on it. Okay. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but the message is that one of our biggest challenges is that there have been economists who classified the health sector as non-productive, just as consumptive. Then getting budget becomes a problem. I was Director General in the Ministry of Health. Ministry of Finance at that time classified us into productive sectors and consumptive sectors. And can you believe that education, health, were being classified as consumptive sectors? But that has now changed. That has now changed, and there is sufficient evidence that investing $1 in the health sector gives you $9 back. So we should be carrying this message around and making noise about it so that because we need money to do all these things we are talking about. Health budgets are declining. You know, we're spending like $65 per capita. In my days in the ministry, now we are spending about 40, and that's not good. So again, I've made this point already, that we need workforce planning and capabilities in planning the workforce. That's what that slide is about. And what is causing the crisis? Basically, the rich countries, they are aging, they have no young people. That is it. So then they take from us, and they need more care. And there are big, big shortages, and this is going to go on for a very long time. But if we in Africa, with our many young people, were smart, we could turn this into a bargaining position and make money for ourselves. Well, Kampala Declaration, that is how to make a national health workforce plan. That's very important, but it needs leadership. Needs leadership. And you and I are those leaders. If I'm going to leave any message behind, this is the message I want to leave behind. That we live here, we go each wherever we are to make sure that what we have to do, we do it well all the time. I think there is one message here. That's a jump to that, but also a very important message. Do we care? Until we feel ashamed and we feel pain when things are wrong where we are not going to do anything. So, friends, let's go. So those are the slides I had prepared. The other part of my talk is to give you in a few words what we submitted to the Education Policy Review Commission as the elders and concerned members of the Uganda Medical Association. The key issues right now, they told us to break the thing into issues and solutions. The regulation of health professions, including nursing, allied professionals, was transferred to from the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. The responsibility for education, particularly. And we feel this has been a big challenge. How can we get I don't mind the Education Ministry taking care of universities and awarding certificates and so on, but for goodness sake, let's train these people together with the Ministry of Health. And I tried to work in my days with the leadership of the Education Ministry at that time. No, we had an interministerial committee, but it had issues. But we need it. I'm glad, I'm glad to hear that during MEPI it worked well. The gap between clinical facilities for training and training institutions, we talked about that. Clinical excellence as the foundation, that is a second issue which we need to address. And then we would like the National Council for Higher Education. Are they here? Ah, excellent. National Council for Higher Education to work better with the Medical and Dental Practitioners Council. I did some review on that council as well, and what concerned me was that it was the chair who was one of the people being regulated. you know, one of the vice chancellors is always the chair. I think you should move away from that so that everyone can be accountable. We would like you to work better with the Uganda Medical and Dental Practitioners Council. And the reason is that it is the professionals who know what their profession is about and what is wrong, what is right. And if you don't hear from them, then you end up doing things which are not well founded. So that message is also very important, listening to the professionals. I don't know whether you have health workforce leaders, health professionals in your committee. You need to have them there. Otherwise, you can be making decisions which are wrong. And I think the law which established the National Council has duplicated some of the roles of the Medical and Dental Practitioners Council. But the INCHE seems to have the upper hand. I don't know. Those people who went to court to get students who finished training to allow them to do internship apparently did so because it was the Medical Council and not the National Council who had issued the order. And that is very serious indeed. What will happen to those people whom court made doctors? Well, ICT, we have to be there. We can't run away from that. Workforce planning, I've talked enough about that. The last one here is that we recommended that the retirement age for health professionals now at 60 should be moved to 75, because the more you work, the more you remember, the more you know, the stronger you are, and we should extend the retirement age. I think lawyers took theirs to 70-something, and we are at 60, we should also do that. But usually the younger people complain, if you extend the retirement age, what about us? What will happen to us? Now, don't worry, your turn will also come. Allow it to happen. So, friends, this is a very important event, very, very important, but I would not like to see it end just here with talking. I would like you, Makerere people, make sure that the outcome of today turns into some action somewhere. Some action somewhere. If necessary, anyway, some action somewhere. Let's not just talk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Omaswa, for your extensive insights. And I'd like to invite our moderator this afternoon, Mr. Robert Kapshenga, who is a legal advocate of the High Court of Uganda and an experienced media guru. Robert, but be kind to our people.
I know why David is saying that. Look, David, the reason I asked you about my health issue is because I know you don't go to a professor of law at the faculty to ask them for legal advice. You go there to be taught. So I'm not going to come to you, an academic, to tell me what I'm suffering from. I want you to tell me who was your best student that is in practice. Then I go there and I get exactly. So I know you're the best judge of who are the good students. I also know why people are saying that I am quite brutal. Yes, because I think that the management of our time is atrocious. So I am actually going to be brutal. I have absolute, yes, because you see, my livelihood depends on the time. And so you ask me to finish at 5:30, I will finish at 5:30. So And my panelists, I warn you early, you had an hour, it's been cut to 35 minutes. I'm a dictator. I really am not an elected leader, so I really don't care. So I'm warning you early, revise your presentations. There was only one keynote speaker, and that's Professor Nelson Sewankambo. The rest of you have to say only one thing. So please, let's be clear who the star of the occasion is. It's Professor Sewankambo. But allow me also to explain why I accepted to be part of the 100 years of celebration, because in the mid-60s, a young lady was going to school at Bat Valley, then it had an Indian name. She went to visit her sister who was going to school in the nursing there, somewhere along, I think it's Chira Road or whatever it's called. And then a young man who was in Makerere escorted his friend who was going to visit the nurses. To cut the long story short, that's why I am here. That's how I wound up as someone's child. So there's a reason to celebrate the 100 years. If there had been no medical schools. But one that's intensely personal is that two friends of mine, my roommate, Dr. Paula Mailuk, was at the dental school, and Dr. David Nekyon was my neighbor. So we were three very good friends. But that's not why I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating because in all the 3 years that I was in Lumumba, I kept their meal cards. So I got 3 pieces of bread, 1 my own and 2 from the medical guys, because they were getting meals at Galloway. So I had a great time with the so I really have a reason to celebrate the the bread. But when I was talking to David about coming to do this, really the thing that is fascinating me right now and why I agreed to do this, David, you'll remember, is because about 3 or 4 years ago, again to Professor Omaswa's point, I attended a similar session by the NPA and the National Planning Authority. And they opened a discussion, which they then abandoned. I don't know why. I've not seen it being followed up. But they were discussing the crisis of funding higher education. Now, I was telling David that the College of Health Sciences, is that what you call yourselves now? We've always known it as medical schools, which reminds me of another reason why I like to celebrate that, because Professor Kachitahi was my uncle, so I always went, yeah. So the question then, how, you guys face a triple, and I hope my panelists can really answer that question. You face a triple whammy. Number one, the high cost of education, higher education. Number two, 2 months ago, I think, or 1.5 months ago, we were at another workshop where they are discussing the cost of health in Uganda. We can't raise $29, or we're spending $29 per person, and we need more. So there is a shortage of money to afford health services. But there's an even bigger one. The population of this country is exploding. In about 5 years, we will be 50 million guys. So you doctors have done a fantastic job of keeping some of us alive longer than we should be, but you're also doing an excellent job of delivering new babies. And the young people are quite active and having babies earlier, and you're doing nothing about that. But anyway, so. But the bigger crisis I told David about is when I was growing up, we ate very good food. The diet that a lot of younger people and even poorer people, the standard meal of a low-income earner in Kampala today is a Rolex. We are manufacturing a non-communicable diseases disaster, and it's growing very fast. So I ask myself, and I'm going to ask my panelists, how prepared are we for the health challenges? How are we preparing the students for the health challenges that are coming? And to make matters worse, how are you preparing them for a world of artificial general intelligence? And so I'm going to ask those questions, and I hope somebody in the panel can answer them. So my first panel, which will again take 30 minutes, I have reduced it further, because there are 3, and so 10 minutes each will do them justice. Dr. Safina Sene She's from the Ministry of Education. Safina, please come. You clap for her, because she is a leading health training expert in Uganda, an educationist, is the Commissioner of Business, Technical, Vocational Education and Training at the Ministry of Education, majored in nursing and midwifery education, previously held leadership roles at the Mulago and Jinja Schools of Nursing and Midwifery. This is, I think, the most important thing. She holds a PhD in clinical teaching and learning, and many of you will end up like me, just 1 degree and you go home. So please clap for her. Alfred Driwale, medical doctor, health systems leader, 25 years of experience, is Commissioner of Health Services for Institutional Capacity Building, Human Resource Development at the Ministry of Health in Uganda. Doctor, please come. And he was at Makerere University, also was an advisor and consultant for the World Health Organization, UNICEF, and MSH across sub-Saharan Africa. Doctor, you're most welcome. And Dr. Godfrey Onyait, where are you? Where's Godfrey? Yeah, please. You can pass here, don't go. Okay, no, you take the long walk. People need to see you because 25 years of health leadership. No, that's not. So he's the Senior Higher Education Officer at the National Council of Higher Education, specializing in program accreditation, curriculum development, and quality assurance. In our higher education system, lectures at Busitema University in the Faculty of Computer Studies, and previously served as Dean of ICT at Cavendish University. And so I am actually going to start with you, because one of the questions, the things that I've been reading about a lot lately, is everyone is saying that technology is going to change the way medicine and health services are delivered. Machines will be delivering surgeries from remote centers and carrying them out. And I hear about things called keyhole. Is it keyhole or pinhole? Something where they get into your body through a pinhole and then they do stuff. So the question is, what are the plans? What's the reality? How do we balance the limited facilities? If a test tube is being shared by 6 people, how are we going to move from that to having facilities, modern equipment that can bring the medical profession or the medical practitioners into the 21st century? Because you happen to be on both sides of that. You're in ICT, you're in higher education, and now we're talking training medical people. And as I said, each one has 10 minutes to say everything they want to say, including a prayer. And then I'll be done. Yes. Dr. Onyait.
Correction, I'm a principal higher education officer.
Oh.
And a head of institutional licensing and accreditation, National Council for Higher Education.
Apologies, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me to take part in this discussion. As far as the technology is concerned, from the regulatory perspective, National Council has come up with the guidelines that will help institutions to integrate artificial intelligence in every program. It is going to be a cross-cutting course unit, such that whatever is being done, the aspect of artificial intelligence is incorporated. The issue of limited equipment. One, admissible numbers are regulated. When a program is accredited or re-accredited, we curb the numbers. But we have a challenge with you, the institutions. You don't adhere to the numbers. And that is what causes that explosive numbers that were talked of. The issue of limited equipment, we encourage institutions to do simulations, download the softwares that can help the students in simulating the real life scenarios, which can help the students be able to acquire the hands-on skills needed, such that by the time the student goes to the field, you already have some knowledge on how to conduct the operation or the exercise. The issue of cost of health care training in Uganda, it is true the cost is quite high. As Ugandans, what should we do? One, we need to call for the government to invest more in health training in Uganda, such that we come up with an increased number of health workforce. Because currently, when you look at the situation, we do not know what we want. We do not know the disease and health burden of Uganda. Institutions develop programs without factoring that in. And I strongly believe if we did that, we shall be able to lower the cost. Then the other bit on the side of institutions, developing programs should be done in line with the competencies that we need. Institutions do copy and paste. They do not look at what competencies do we need. For example, when you are developing a curriculum, you need to factor in what kind of graduate do we need. In case of doctors, what kind of doctor do we need? The doctor we want. What are the competencies that are needed? It is not a matter of coming up with a curriculum without. You don't develop a curriculum in an office. You have to do a needs analysis. What are those competencies that are needed for a doctor of today and tomorrow? Some of you, as universities, you come up with a curricula that equip the graduates with the competencies of yesterday, and yet the issue is the competencies of today and tomorrow. Then the other bit is knowing our gap. Institutions develop the curricula without consulting the National Development Plan. As I talk now, very few institutions are aware of National Development Plan 4. The National Development Plan 4 specifies the human resource gap in each and every sector. When you come to health sector, you will see clearly what is needed. So if we follow that, I strongly believe we shall be able to address that.
Dr. Onyait, just before you run away from that issue, and I want to go back to what both Professor Omaswa and Professor Yawankam said. You are the regulators.
Yes, sir.
People are failing to comply with the plans required. Why are you not enforcing closures? Why are you succumbing to political pressures to allow these people to continue doing what they're doing?
Thank you for that question. Why is National Council succumbing to the pressure? I can say yes, I can say no at the same time. We from the regulatory perspective, are trying all our best to see to it that the regulatory aspect is enforced. We have gone to the extent of raising yellow flags to those institutions that are non-compliant. We have even gone to the extent of closing those institutions. So that bit of saying that we are succumbing, it is not true. Yeah?
Okay.
Thank you. The way forward.
Yes.
How are we going to improve on the quality of the doctors we want, of the health professionals we want? One, we need to continue with the stakeholder engagement, continuous dialogue, multidisciplinary dialogue as a way of identifying the gaps. And once we have identified those gaps, we shall be able to improve. Two, we need to address the issue of overlap of the regulatory bodies. One regulatory body is saying A, B, another regulatory body is saying C, D. And as a result, the institutions end up getting confused. So they look for a softer target and capitalize on that. So let us harmonize the issue of regulatory bodies. The next issue is addressing the issue of overlapping mandate. I've done that. Improving the relationship between the regulatory bodies. For example, National Council has signed MOU with all the regulatory bodies, including Uganda Medical and Dental Practitioner Council. What is needed is strengthening that relationship. The relationship is weak, and I strongly believe if we strengthen the relationship, we shall be able to improve on the quality of training of health professionals in Uganda. Then the other bit is harmonizing the curricula. I'm not saying standardizing, harmonizing the curricula. National Council, in collaboration with the professional bodies, have developed minimum standards. So whenever they are developing the curricula, they develop in line with the minimum standards. So what is important is working together and harmonizing the training, the assessment, and also practice of health professionals. Then lastly, come up with a database, a shared database for health professionals in terms of enrollment of students, the graduates, interns, and the tracer studies. Those are some of the things I feel when put in place will help. And maybe the other one, the government should put measures in place to reduce on brain drain out of the country. Thank you.
You're the government. You're the government. And which is a perfect point to bring in Dr. Driwale. You know, brain drain, harmonizing the curricula. The curricula. In other words, the skills that you are receiving. But the thing is, how do we balance? What are the pressures? I wish you would talk to this. What are the pressures that you face where you know you have a disease burden X, you have a population growth Y, but you are limiting the numbers? I know some of the explanations are from the macroeconomic guys, but why is it, and then we allow people to be stolen and taken to look after an aging population in Europe when we've trained them at high cost ourselves? So where's that problem? How do we deal with it? How do we attract these young people who are sitting in the audience and watching? How do we offer them an opportunity to practice their profession and stay and look after us? Because we're also aging. I am here, Sewan Kambo is there, Dr. Sirwada is there. We have reduced ourselves to just exercise because we don't see that somebody is going to take care of us. So yes, tell us.
Yeah. Yes, the brutal reality is actually that migration of health workers is going to be a reality to contend with. In the next 10 years, Europe is losing 3 million health professionals to retirement, and there is no way they can replace that by training their own. So the point
they don't even have people to train.
They will not have the people to train. And we are in a better position because our education reforms are generating many people who are qualified to be trained as health professionals, and the pressure it has mounted on the public training institutions has stimulated the private sector to take on training. And this is a plus. But I think we have one weakness as a country because we are not prepared to regulate the private sector in this work they are doing. So also the context. We have a very large unskilled and unemployed population. But now we are faced with a large number of trained health professionals struggling with skills mismatch, also struggling with the either overqualification or incompetence. And that's what the public is telling us. People are complaining because of the quality of the health professionals we have, and it is true.
But doctor, sorry, I must challenge you a bit on
Challenge?
this. Yes. So we seem to be in a sort of zero-sum game. We're not giving the young people the opportunity to acquire the skills. No internships, overcrowding, no investment in facilities in the as my professors used to say, the other side, that then we unleash them on an unsuspecting population and they underperform. Then we punish them for the underperformance.
Yes.
How do we cure that situation?
So I think we are dealing with a reality. And we need to assemble the facts the way they are without the risk of being squeezed to the wall. Because we need to understand them. You know, the problems which we are facing now are new problems. In the 90s, this would not be the discussion. The efforts we put in training health professionals in the 90s has taken us to a new platform with a whole new set of new challenges. So I think for me, we just need to sober up on this issue and say where are the nuts to be turned. And this is really the emphasis I'm laying. So right now, if you look at the need for health workers in this country, we do not have enough. Based on the disease burden, based on our service delivery module, and based on service standards, the numbers are not enough. But we are not absorbing this number because of the limited fiscal space to recruit health workers. So we are having a paradoxical overproduction.
You have used very difficult language. Okay. Now simplify.
Let me talk.
Physical, paradoxical.
Let me tone down.
Yes.
The economists will tell you that how much money is allowed to circulate in the economy is a decision which is made at the macroeconomic level. So all your expenses of that year must fit in that space. So the pass is fixed. Then you allocate it for the national priorities. The allocations, when it goes down sector by sector and in the major areas of expenditure, the amount that can be allocated to wage cannot allow us to recruit to meet our need, cannot allow us to recruit the health professionals who are on the streets. This is the reality. So some of the issues can only be filled by economic growth. Secondly, we are in epidemiological transition. From diseases of the poor, we are moving to diseases of affluence. So, but if you see our health programs, they are still looking at the disease conditions of the past, largely.
So public health.
Yeah, that's why you see many referrals abroad. We don't have the capacity to deal with it. So the issue for us, from the users of health professionals, is for universities and training to be responsive to the emerging healthcare needs, for which people are being taken out. This is the challenge of the current training model. The issue of numbers. The private sector is in training health professionals for profit. Let's be candid about this. And the profit comes from numbers. You must break even by a certain number.
And they also have to keep their costs low.
They have to keep their costs low. Now, the enemy of quality is numbers. Large numbers, poor quality. And this is where regulation is needed.
I can see you're talking to Godfrey without looking at him, but let's say.
So the private sector, as I speak now, we have 333 health training institutions providing certificate and diploma. And I'll tell you, by the time Commissioner, my colleague Commissioner is talking, she may give a different number, because this number is increasing and it's still increasing.
Right.
Universities training in medicine now, the last time I saw, the numbers were 13. Now it could be more. Now it has reached 14. Tomorrow it will change. Ladies and gentlemen, standards of training require a certain number of students around a patient. When we were being trained, I remember Professor Odonga used to scream because we were 7 over patients. He said, the standard is 5, but we were 7. But today, how many are we around patients? What opportunity do they have to demonstrate splenomegaly? These are quality questions.
I can't help you.
Those are quality issues. So we need to go to basics. Now, in the area of regulation, I think we need to regulate along the entire value chain. It's not about the learning infrastructure of the university. It's about, after the university, they are going to go through internship. What facilities outside there are prepared to receive the thousands? Now the figure, we have 1,400 interns waiting to be posted. If you post these to 60 internship training centers, how many intern doctors are you having in a center? And what opportunity do they have to sharpen their skills on a procedure in a repeated manner, so that when they go out in the field, they are confident? So regulation is failing there. So moving forward, moderator.
Okay, I'll give you 1.5 minutes because you are coming.
Number one,
yeah,
we need to improve on regulation and split the arms for regulation. There's now precedence in TVET system,
right,
where they have the regulator is different, the assessment is different, the delivery is different. And I think this is going to improve quality. The issue of joint assessments should also come in. We had one university, that would be enough. If quality is poor, you just go to the dean, you say, hey, we're not happy about this. Now there are 14. A university which has not taught neurosurgery cannot examine the students in that area. You will get a doctor who comes out without knowing about a system thoroughly. Who is following them? Coverage of the syllabus. Joint exams would solve this problem. You can teach your way. When you come to the national exam, you crash, you're on your own. We need to be intentional about this. Also, the issue of joint modules. There are some modules which are about making a doctor a doctor. They need to be centrally taught, the issues of ethics, the issues of ethics, ethical code of conduct, all those values which Professor Sewakambo touched in the earlier, should be a central model taught in all medical training schools, regardless of ownership. The issue of collaboration. Now I can tell you, I'm Makerere trained. I'm very proud about that.
Yeah, so am I.
We share with you Lumumba Hall. But the point here, Mulago Hospital, I can tell you, if you go there, you may find most of the diseases people suffer from in Uganda. So in 1 week, you have an opportunity to see all the diseases, regardless of which system. But some of these small universities, which are in upcountry small hospitals, may end up training without seeing certain diseases. They are trained in private universities, but they are not treating private citizens.
Or they will just see particular ones which are regular
in that
in
area.
that area.
So for me, another area of collaboration would be exposure of medical students to Mulago Hill, move through the wards, see the cancer patients.
Also, the Ministry of Health could advise and say, we know that these facilities of ours, Soroti, Kambuga, where I come from, I don't know if others are at that level, and you say, these hospitals can provide a disease exposure to, wouldn't that help?
That's the collaboration. It needs to be explored, and on that exploration, you will find the best fit.
Now, I'm trying to get back my time. Why don't you allow me to come to the person?
Actually, I've finished.
Ah, very good. You clap for it. So, Dr. Safina, I mean, good point, you know, adopting the TVET model here and so on. You are now on both ends. You've been this way, you're now on the other side. Can you tell us, how should we approach these issues? And, you know, like now what he's talked about, this just a simple collaboration between the education providers, their bosses, the consumers on one side, and by the way, even the parents. If I am sending my child to medical school, like me who is a lawyer, I have no idea what kind of, then I could choose the right school, because all I want is my son to be a doctor. I send him to your place there, Muvara. Okay, Dr. Safina.
Thank you very much, and I want to take the opportunity to thank the organizers of this forum that has brought all of us together to discuss pertinent issues for health professional education. Professor Sowakambo, the concept that I took is training health professionals, not the program, and I want to concentrate on that one. It is good that everybody has shared with us the challenges. The challenges is limited resources. The challenges are big numbers, and the big numbers are coming up because of our big population. Ugandans are very fertile, and they are coming up because of the interventions government has put in place. We have universal primary education, and when those children go through universal primary education, they go to universal secondary education, and they will have to come to TVET and higher education. And when they come, we therefore need to appreciate them and take them on and skill them. And for us now, we are talking about health professional education. I just wanted to say that Ministry of Education is not sleeping. We have to appreciate that we have the lower secondary curriculum that is giving us a graduate that is a better one. A graduate that has gone through a competency-based training, a graduate that has gone through a self-directed learning that will be ready to learn when he joins our universities and health training institutions to have self-directed learning. We also have the TVET reforms that Dr. Dwawad has talked about. And the good thing out of this TVET reform is the issue of having a regulatory body, but also an issue of having standards, but also an issue of enforcing regular review of curriculum, but based on competences that are required in the world of work. Competences that are required in the world of work is not one issue that will get once. Every now and then you need to collaborate with the world of work. And I want to report, maybe Professor Massa, when you were there, the relationship between education and health was not so good. But I want to report that the relationship is now very good. We are sitting together as the Minister of Education, Minister of Health, Minister of Public Service, and others to discuss issues of health. We are developing a policy, and this policy is looking at the whole chain of training, right from admission until we reach continuous professional development. We are looking at what type of a profession a student that will be admitting in the health training institutions in the universities, and what courses or programs are they going to be doing. Previously, you have seen so many people doing...
Sorry, doctor. You'll excuse me for interfering with you. So, for instance, these reforms, will you also participate or at least be involved or manage the admissions by the private institutions?
Yes. These reforms have brought on board everybody on board to participate in the training and development of health professionals. When we have a council for training, for example, the concept that were brought on board in the TVET subsector is to have a council formed of the employers themselves. The council is 7 members, and only one is coming from the local government. The rest of the members are from the employers. I wanted to give an example of now we have our Uganda Health Professional Assessment Board, and I'm happy to report that Dr. Drawari is the chairperson of that board. An employer is chairing the board in means of education that are assessing and judging the product that we are producing for the country. So that's the concept that we are talking about. When you have the employers, they will say, yes, now we want people who are competent in ICT. We want people who are able, when they come in our health facilities, they can manage the databases accordingly. We want people, now the disease burden has changed. We are getting more of non-communicable. Therefore, don't produce general doctors, but put the budget in this area. So they will be able to discuss that and advise the training. However, not forgetting, when we discuss these issues, we must appreciate that they are all on us. Our budget is very limited. We have a smaller budget, and training a health profession is very expensive. Health professions themselves, we train from hospital. You need to make the trainee fit for training, meaning the food that the trainee is eating must be a balanced diet. Just one input on that trainee. Because if you don't make this trainee's immunity better, the trainee will get sick from the hospitals, and then you not get the person.
If we look
you need real patience.
If we look at the trainees we see here, how do you see them?
They are very healthy. They are well fed. They are very healthy. So the inputs that we need, the patients, the equipment, the gadgets that we use. For example, we want to investigate and understand the disease that is affecting this person. Getting an ultrasound, it is very expensive. The tests that we do in the laboratories, some tests are very expensive, and the trainee must go through such skills. So we need money for that. The message that I want to bring on board, and through the policy that we are praying very hard to come on board, that we get adequate funding for health professional education and training. Because health professional education is a common good. These are the skills that government should give a special attention to. Yes, we have gone to the private sector. We have been interacting with them, and they keep on telling us, Commissioner, when you are negotiating for equipment in your schools, public one, also negotiate for equipment in our institution. When you give out like buses to your institution to go for the community training, also help us to get those buses for our training. So even the private sector themselves, they need us to support them as far as provision of resources. Because, like we said, they are looking at how to economize what they have put in to produce this person. But when they do a lot of economics here, they compromise the quality. And that's where governments must be very much interested that when a trainee is brought to Mulago National Referral Hospital, these people should not be charged so much for attachment. This is another area that we have noted. These people, because they are trying to economize the cost of training, instead of a trainee being in the hospital for 4 weeks, they are only put there for 2 weeks. And that compromise, the students will not learn all the skills. Instead of a student coming, now he's training from a district hospital and is doing maybe a degree in medicine and surgery. But we need to come to a regional referral hospital. We need to come to a national referral hospital. These private sector people, they will somehow compromise the regional and the national because they are not able to meet the cost of this. So for me as government,
Dr. Safina,
if
just quickly, I want to go back to what Dr. Driwale mentioned earlier on, that aren't there elements, like now that one, which should be cross-cutting training rather than being as at the discretion of an institution. So if we say, regardless, if you want to provide medical training, you must take your students for 4 weeks. Can't we require that certain things as part of this policy implementation?
In the curriculum that we develop for them,
yes,
each competence is stipulated how much time should it take and where it will be delivered from. But I've told you that sometimes they not comply. So for us as regulators, maybe we need to reinforce supervision. But because of, again, limited resources, even supervision may not be adequate. That's why you hear National Council saying we are not doing this very well. That's why you hear us saying we are not doing this very well. But with the policy that we are developing, and if it is well funded, all this will be history. My prayer is that that policy is taken on, that we stipulate where each skill is obtained from and who provided that skill, that we advocate for Ministry of Health to recruit adequate staff. For example, most of the regional referral hospitals can provide such training, but sometimes we don't have the right consultant in that area. Sometimes we lack such consultants in a regional referral hospital. We don't have neurosurgeons, we don't have we mainly have obstetricians and gynecologists, but others we don't have them. So we need to provide a wage to recruit such consultants, and then they provide the teaching. But also we need to continuously motivate the people who are providing the training. Again, I want to give a credit to government. Recently, they provided what we call the preceptors allowance. And mainly for the lower cadres, the preceptors are being motivated at quarterly basis. And their motivation has improved. They are supporting the trainees while they are in their hospitals. The same thing can be done even for medical students and other professions at bachelor's level.
Right. Okay, so...
But I also wanted to talk about getting other interventions. Recently, the Ministry of Education...
I will give you 2 minutes. And
Recently, the Ministry of Education came up with the digital agenda strategy. And what are we saying about the digital agenda strategy? We are saying that we use digital or ICT in all processes of training, right from teaching and learning, assessment, administration, and the rest. We want to see that we have online resources provided. However, for health professionals, we are not going 100% digital. Because for health professionals, there are scenarios that you may not train digitally, but you need to have the physical attention, and that's why we are advocating for blended learning. And already thinking is around that direction. Once that is taken on, this can help us to manage, especially when you are teaching a very complicated skill and you have virtual reality, and the students are somewhere, and the consultant is in Mulago demonstrates such a skill to learners. They can be able to appreciate the processes, and then they spend less time to have hands-on. So that is going on right now as far as Ministry of Education is concerned. But also, looking at the issue of specialization, we have a policy that supports undergraduate but not postgraduate. Right now, we are discussing to see that that policy is changed, especially for the health sector, because we want to see that we provide all those specialized people that the health sector needs. They have already written to Ministry of Education, and we are aware of them, but only limited as far as the policy of government support is concerned.
Right.
I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Good. So please, a hand clap for my panel. It's a bit anemic, so if I could get a bigger hand clap. Otherwise, the next panel might refuse to come. I think that my point to you is you can see that maybe this dialogue today is the first of many that you should conduct on an annual basis to get this conversation going. Clearly, there is a need for it. So I may kindly ask my panel to step down so that I can bring the next panel, and then we will have a general discussion after that, and we can, and I kindly request you to stay around in the hall, because questions might arise that may require your response from especially the ones who are receiving the training. So please allow me to invite Dr. Timothy Magaya from the Federation of Uganda Medical Interns. Timothy, you're here. Oh, yes, please come forward. I don't know at what point you'll step down from being in the Federation, because I don't think you can be an intern permanently. But he is a medical doctor, public health advocate, and runs a community-based organization out of Uganda, has a bachelor's degree from Kampala International University, and has a lot of youthful energy, as you can see. I suspect when I was in Makerere, you were not yet born, so that's the whole, yes. Dr. Jonans Tusimere. Dr. Jonans. Please come. Yes. He's a pharmacist, senior lecturer, deputy dean, Faculty of Medicine, Makerere University of Science and Technology, president of Pharmaceutical Society. Been an academic for 17 years, pharmaceutical analysis, development and regulation. PhD, University of Strathclyde, was in Makerere University, regulatory guidelines, many things. Please have a seat. You'll tell us about the test tube and 6 people, if that is true. Eddie Mpuga. I think this is going to be an interesting one. Maybe we get an even younger moderator, who knows? Patrick Odongo, nursing and bioethics graduate, vice president of Association of Graduate Nurses and Midwives of Uganda. So are men also called midwives? They should be mid-husbands. I mean, it's just, okay. Please come through. So I'm making a deliberate choice to start with Eddie Mpuga. How relevant is the training you're receiving? Look at your principal in the eye and say it with your chest out. By the way, each of you, because there is 4 of you, so each of you has 7 minutes, because I need to manage my time. Yeah, so please go ahead. So you have 7 minutes. Just answer my question.
Yes, thank you
for
taking me first.
Yes.
Yes. So how relevant is our training? I would say, first, it is a nice training. And for the examples, for the points I'll be giving, I'll be giving examples attributed to them. So I would say it's a nice training because first, as we Makerere students, because I'm from Makerere University, we attached to nice hospitals, Mulago, Butabika, Kawempe, very many hospitals. And through that training, the rotations we have during the semester, we get the chance to be exposed to very many cases. When I was in Butabika, that was actually last year, we have exchange students who come to Uganda and see what we have here to get like a new kind of exposure. So I came to interact with one of the students who had never seen a case of schizophrenia, and that is our usual case. Those are some of our usual cases that we have in Butabika, isn't it? So here in Uganda, we are so much exposed to the clinical cases, and through that we learn a lot.
But I ask you, how about your colleagues in other universities? Because you're privileged. I mean, Makerere is, I mean, look at your auditorium.
Yes, so that applies mainly to Makerere. And I think so, even other universities, because now giving an example of one that is found in the West, during the clinical rotations, they're distributed in different parts of Uganda, and I think through that they get the exposure that they need. Yes, so in the poorer sense of our training is that you are not making it to the standards of what is required, maybe internationally, because of some of the weak policies that we have here, because taking an example, universities outside are having new standard ways of teaching people. Things like simulation labs, but you do not have them here. And how long will it take us, with the Makererians, with the people from MAST and maybe Gulu University, to reach such standards? So in that sense,
I'm looking at the head of the college. I'm looking at him.
So we are not so doing very well when it comes to digitalization of our training.
Right. So I turn to you, Jonans. I mean, you've had. I'm more interested in the last part of his, because he first, he's the GRC representative, which means a politician. So he dealt with the politics first. It's very good. Then he said, but, so I want to go to the but. The question of the competence of the graduates that come out, it's come up again. You heard from Dr. Driwale. He said the complaint from the community is competence. The various speakers, I think Nelson and both Professor Omasa talked about ethics. It's not just incompetence. I think, Driwale, you people also struggle with people who just don't work. They're not turning up for work. So talk to us. How is this manifesting itself? What do you see as the problems that need to be solved for the competence to go up, so that the Mpugas can arrive when they're employable?
Thank you so much, our moderator. Before I answer the question, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the principal of the college and the entire team that invited me to Makerere, which is my alma mater. I was here between 2002 up to 2006,
right?
In the College of Health Sciences. It was then actually just a faculty of medicine. It transformed into a college during my time as a student there. We were the last cohort on the pre-PBL curriculum. I hope Makererians know the PBL curriculum. So we're the last cohort on the traditional method. But I would like to appreciate the
Principal, you can receive his application to return now as a lecturer. Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to speak mainly as the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Uganda, because it's from that perspective that I can ably answer this question. We receive applicants from all over the country, but also all over the globe, applicants seeking to join the Pharmaceutical Society of Uganda as members. And we assess them. I think we are the only professional council that actually administers exams to all our applicants. I know Medical Council examines some applicants, but for us, we examine everyone, whether you train from here in Uganda or from abroad. So if I'm to give you a direct answer, in terms of satisfaction,
yes,
we are between 60 to 70%, because that is actually the average pass rate for our exams to students or applicants seeking to join internship. The most recent one was a little bit lower, around 60, exactly 60.
What's your pass mark?
Pass mark is 50%.
Okay.
Yes, so now I go into the nuances of the training and our expectations.
Yeah.
Of course, there are biases, I must state, because I'm also a teacher, I'm a lecturer, I'm a senior lecturer at Makerere University, yes. I'm a deputy dean, I coordinate undergraduate training of all students, actually, in the Faculty of Medicine, which is medicine students, pharmacy, nursing, medical lab, physiotherapy, pharmaceutical sciences, pharmacists as well. So there's that bias. But if I'm to really force myself on the side of the professional society, there are variations between institutions. There are very clear variations. And you can easily pick some of what I would say predictors of a cohort failing those exams. They are predictors.
What are those?
One is class size. If the size of the class, if the size of the cohort from that institution is big, they are going to fail. Those who fail will be more. That is very clear. Okay. And I think you can always relate that to what happens actually in the classroom, because if you're a teacher and you're handling 100 students at the same time in the same room, and you must examine them, you must expose them to practicals, you must take them to wards for the clinical disciplines, you're not going to monitor each and every student appropriately or optimally. And some students, and they are here, they are listening, and I'm sure they are going to agree with me, some students actually don't want to learn. They just want to pass. So if you can guarantee that they will pass, they are okay. They will not even mind if you miss classes. I mean, as a lecturer, if you miss classes, your students will be okay, as long as they know they will pass. So because of that kind of mentality that happens in some students, and then when the classes are big and the lecturer is unable to monitor them well, those students are not going to get the skills that you'd really want them to attain. So right. That's one. The second one is, and I'm glad the National Council for Higher Education is still here, we have students who do not meet requirements to join programs in Uganda, but then find those programs outside Uganda with the same results that would not give them the opportunity to train from here.
So somebody goes to Cyprus?
Yes, with their one principal pass and one subsidiary that doesn't qualify you to join any program here.
Higher education.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they come back with degrees that, I mean, we have denied them here in Uganda. They come with degrees, and National Council for Higher Education equates them to our degrees, and then they come and apply. So if National Council has equated their degree to what is here, what is offered here, then as a professional society, you are obliged to admit them, give them the exam, and a good number of them actually fail that exam. So as someone who has been in the examination process and receiving these applications and processing them, I can say that they are clear predictors.
Yeah.
They are clear predictors. But then the final issue around that on the training front is sometimes I tend to feel for the student. I mean, because we must agree that things have changed somehow. When a student went to medical school in the 80s, they were guaranteed of a job and probably even a car. So the motivators were there. You know, you knew what you were working for. I mean, now you can still say, yeah, I need a good degree, I need skills, I need to really I need to demonstrate these skills to my supervisor at the internship and maybe possibly get retained by that hospital. I mean, there are some of those motivators, but then they are getting fewer. You know, we were discussing recently about results, and so people said, what does it mean to be on the vice chancellor's list? What benefit is there? You know, what does it mean to be on dean's list? Other than maybe some letter DL or some abbreviation DL appearing on your name. So what do you get out of it? So it seems somehow that we have lost our capacity to motivate and inspire and reward people who really work hard, so that someone really works hard knowing that there is something that is guaranteed when their effort has been recognized. So I feel on that side we are not doing well as professional bodies, because they will still not get jobs. They will also suffer like others, and then they have to compete. And I mean, yeah, so I feel on that front we need to improve.
Then they come to me to find out how to grow coffee instead of treating people, and then I'm looking at them.
Yes. Although coffee is good, actually.
Let's be careful here. Timothy, you're in the community. You run a community-based organization. What can you tell us? What is the experience and satisfaction within the community with the work of the health professions? And I guess we're talking broadly, right, from nurses, and then you hear what Riwale was talking about. You go to health centers and the places are locked up. Some of even the personal behavior. This was not even a health worker, but the reason I called you about my issue was because I went to a facility. Thankfully, it's not a government facility, but they've invested millions of dollars, and the receptionist is a complete idiot. I mean, that's how. And you arrive, you're sick, so you need attention, and the person who is talking to you thinks they are running a shop. But anyway, so you've dealt with communities. How satisfied are they? What is the experience? What can you share with us?
Thank you, moderator. Good evening to you all. Thanks for the organizer for inviting me. And congratulations to the College of Health Sciences, Makerere, for the 100 years in space, contributing tremendously to the health profession training. I'm going to respond to this question in aspect of as an intern. Then I think by the end, I'll bring in the picture, and I believe it will blend in well.
So as an intern who is working, not one on a waiting list, because there's still Riwale's waiting list.
We are training under supervision.
Okay, okay,
yes.
Please, yes.
Allow me try to go back like 3-4 years. The cohort of 2022, 2023 went on strike, and their concerns were mainly rotating around allowances being minimal, and they were requesting for an increment. Then we come to the cohort of 2023, 2024. They went on strike, and their concerns mainly were delayed deployment. Because we remember they were kept home for around 6 months. And recently, last year, still we have colleagues who went on strike. And this time was any deployment. It was their concern. To my understanding, I think we've reached a level where the medical internship program, it's becoming a privilege, yet it's a necessity. Because we know that the medical internship program, it is a critical transition from medical school to the profession practice. But because of these kind of setbacks, as I've just mentioned, they are the ones that are contributing and they are affecting directly or indirectly the outcome of this intern who has finished internship, but when something is lacking. Because I'm looking at this medical, okay, thank you. I'm looking at this medical student who has finished, who has completed 5 years of medical school. Then he or she is kept home for a full year. But on the other side, you claim that you're improving the healthcare system. It doesn't make sense. Now, if we know that right now we undergo training under supervision for 12 months. Currently, we are around 1,750 interns who are about to finish. And we are practicing in 73 internship sites. These 73 internship sites are either national referrals or regional referrals, some general hospitals, and the PNFPs. But an intern who is training from Mulago, don't expect that intern to come out when his or her knowledge is the same as that of an intern who is deep in a general hospital far in the north or a PNFP. Why am I saying this?
What is a PNFP? Because
a PNFP is private, not for profit, like in Zambia Hospital, Mengo, and so on.
Yeah.
So, if this intern in a PNFP or a general hospital far in the north is having only one specialist, because most of those internship sites that are far, most of them, the specialists that are there in all the rotation, you find there one specialist. And mind you, those specialists are not there from Monday to Friday. They are always available once or twice in the 5 working days. But here in Mulago, there is specialized care. It's the first thing, which that intern far north is missing. Here in Mulago, there are special clinics. That intern far north is missing. And Monday to Friday, they are specialists, different, not there's very specialists every day. Today, you meet another, the following day another. An example, I'm doing my internship from Entebbe Regional Referral. Currently in internal medicine, we have 3 specialists, and every day is covered by a specialist, which is not the case with interns who are in
Kisoro.
Far. So you wouldn't expect the knowledge an intern from Mulago or Jinja Regional or Entebbe Regional Referral to be the same.
Right.
This nurse who is interning in Chirudu will come out when he or she knows how to operate dialysis machine.
Yeah.
But the one in far north will he or she be reliable? So now, by the end of the day, we are receiving these health workers into the professional practice, but when their knowledge in one way or the other is lacking.
Right. So I want to go at that very point. I want to switch to Patrick. Patrick, you're one of those that Timothy has described. You are there, you said the president, you're their vice president. So the question to you is very simple. What needs to change in order to deal with the things that Timothy has described, to deal with what Eddie has talked about, to talk about what Jonans has explained? What needs to change? You need to switch it on, huh?
Thank you very much, our moderator of the tonight discussion. And you already said my names, but when I was coming on the stage, people had some concerns, but I want to speak to it a little bit from the beginning.
Are you planning a strike?
People who were concerned, others were asking, men still practicing midwifery?
No. I asked whether, because I can understand a woman being called a midwife. There's a man who is practicing that job. Is he also a midwife or a mid-husband? I was just joking, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just try to put a point for you to appreciate what it means, nursing and midwifery. As a matter of fact, the vice president of the Association of Graduate Nurses and Midwives, and from that you can see that we embrace both the two professions of nursing and midwifery. Similar to when you say MBCHB and you are having doctors who are surgeons and doctors who are general practitioners. So there has also been some previous concerns around healthcare training for nurses and midwives, where a policy was trying to shape a discussion in which there was a proposal to phase out male midwifery practitioners. But I think we will be making one of the worst mistakes, because if you look in medicine and specialties in obstetrics and gyne, we have people who are actually doing offering the very best service. And indeed, from the community perspective, it's true that male midwifery practitioners are quite soft, and they actually prefer them most times. Now,
I will not argue.
Going back to the point of discussion, also allow me to appreciate the organizing committee of this event. It's one of the very first, and we appreciate so much this kind of conversation, because to me, it's providing a lot of impetus for shaping how we work in the future. Now, that said, as a nurse midwife leader, but also with a training in bioethics, I have a broad kind of understanding on how medical science and life sciences should interface and help to improve on healthcare delivery as a whole. But to be straight into your point, what needs to change? It's a very fascinating question to me. There is a lot to change. One of the things that I believe should change is also how we conduct the training. I'm speaking to the curriculum development. From that point of view, I know there are representatives from the National Council of Higher Education here, and some of these questions go directly to them, particularly with
consideration of nursing and midwifery education. We know that there are many more universities. We have training nurses and midwives at degree level, master's level, and PhD level today, but we have not actually standardized the curriculum. We have at present so many entry points to mention but a few in nursing. We do have nursing at diploma level, we have at certificate level, we have at direct bachelor's degree level. So there are actually differences in the curriculum of their training. We know that there is a program for nurses who upgrade right after their diploma training to bachelor's degree. The number of years for their training is not uniform across. And that's where we are facing some bit of problem with the curriculum development and regulatory body. We see public universities, for example, Makerere University, where I got my first degree from. We were in a class where we have some people who joined when we are now in year 2 and year 3. So initially the program was running for 2 years, and then now they moved to 3 years. And as opposed to what other institutions of their same weight do, Makerere, for example, has remained uniform. They train nurses at degree level, whether you are coming from a diploma background or you are a direct student who is joining at a degree level. Your program is uniform across, and you run for 4 years, and you take 1 year in internship to translate, to help you translate and appreciate the theoretical knowledge that you've acquired. You translate it to the practice. So I'm seeing that this is a weakness which is speaking to some of the concerns that were raised earlier on by some stakeholders, and we appreciate that engaging with them today is such a very, very enormous opportunity for us. But, so what I want to change, number one, is a review and unification of the curriculum, the training curriculum across all universities. I will be happy in years ahead if I see a student who is admitted at Makerere is able to comfortably switch and change to Mbarara. Likewise, Mbarara coming to Makerere without any hurdle. That's one point, one area I want to change. The second thing is the job market and employability. You know, I cannot imagine so much from this point, but one thing that comes to my mind and that I can always reflect about was my experience when encountering a COVID-19 pandemic. I was on the front line, and we saw a lot of challenges, a lot of gaps, a lot of difficulty convincing health professionals who are trained, who are skilled, who are experienced, but they step back because of fear for new disease. You know, these diseases, new as they may be, we need to have the right preparation, the right competence, the right training, the right skills to respond in emergency situation. For example, I always think about COVID experience when I was in that unit. In fact, there was a time when people ran away from us. So another thing, key thing that I would want to change is how we deliver our training. So the teaching methods are not appropriate. It's not keeping pace with the current problems that we encounter today. So on that basis, I think it's much more important for us to start thinking so many years ahead because before we know another new pandemic, before we can even draw lessons from the past, we are going to be faced with yet another new challenge. Last but not least, another thing that I would like to be addressed or change is policy. We have policies that have been, proposed, pushed. They are designed by a technical group of people who sit here in an isolated space, and they make policy that are pushed to affect so many people, including, of course, the end users, our patients, the community. So I'm talking about internship. We recently saw a directive from Ministry of Health, and it was signed by Permanent Secretary Asof, which was trying to take a move to wave of internship for these upgrading nurses and midwives who have earned bachelor's degrees and they're now ready to go and appreciate and contextualize the knowledge in a real setting where they are dealing with patients. We suggest that this kind of space where we are now engaging is what we need so much more than ever before, because when we see a policy that is proposing a very fundamental change in training and practice, we feel that something needs to be done to either reverse it, to review, but we are calling the technical group to always push policy issues and engagement to a kind of context like this one, because before we know, it's going to be a risk problem. It's going to be a safety issue to the public, because when you have people who are not having the right skills, right training, right competence, this directly translates to patient safety concerns. And in this way, if we don't propose better ways of how to front it, I think that we shall be lost in the ocean, and we will not be able to contain the challenges that we face today in healthcare, but also we are putting the lives and health of our people at stake. Thank you.
Wow. Please clap for them. Who would have thought? I would never have imagined that doctors fear, especially illness. Why would a doctor fear illness? Now you're going to tell me doctors fear injections. Or nurses fear injections. Right. So, folks, it's 4 minutes to 5. And so I actually, like I said, my time expires at 5:30. So if you guys want to continue talking, that's okay. Mine, I will be moving on to the next issue. So once again, thank you very much to my panel. You guys can stay here. There's no problem. I am now going to spend the next 20 minutes, listening to what you guys think, because you've been listening to us. It's now time for you to speak. The sound people, I don't know how many microphones you have. I'm going to start with the students, and I am going to give the first right of refusal to the female students, because this panel is full of men, and so I just want to quickly say, yeah, please bring the mics. I just want to quickly say to the guys online, your comments have been received and they will be passed on to the college, and I am sure there must be a forum where responses can be posted and a much bigger continuous conversation can be undertaken. I am the one deciding who speaks. I didn't say, okay, I'll start with you, the first lady. There. If you're not a lady, don't bother. Just, unless you have a female hairstyle, then we can see, number 2, Each one has 2 minutes. Are you a lady? I need to check properly. Yeah, 3, and then, so please keep your hands up, the 3 ladies so far. I'll start with the one who's here. 2 minutes, quick introduction. Don't worry about thanking me. I'm already drowning in gratitude. So just go ahead.
Okay.
Shoot. Yeah.
Just want to thank the college for organizing this.
The principal you can thank every time. It's okay. There's no problem.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we talked about regulation. I think National Council of Higher Education regulating private universities or private training institutions. And our main challenge is...
Sorry, by the way, if you would like to address the question specifically to someone who was on the panel, please do say so. It will be very helpful for you to... Otherwise, we'll give it to anyone, not the principal, though. We don't get you into trouble. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. And, for example, Makerere University currently, the 4th years, because I'm with the 4th years, we're about 197, that is the MBCHB. And of course, the class translates to about 350 plus the nurses, the dentists. And you're looking at private universities like AIU, and they have about 3 intakes, of which each is about probably 400, 500 students, 1 intake. Now they have 3. Now we are suffering similar consequences of deployment when instead of taking the priority of those that have adhered to, the universities that have adhered to the actual numbers that are needed. So our universities are suffering similar things with the private universities. So if you choose to admit more, be patient and suffer the consequences of admitting more. Do not affect the private universities that have adhered to the numbers that are required. For me, that is my challenge with the private universities. We are suffering similar consequences, yet they do not adhere to. Number 2,
half a minute, quickly.
Okay.
By the way, just quickly, there is, when I was here, there was a nice smell coming from outside. So if you talk for a long time, you will miss that agenda, because there's an agenda outside. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think number 2, I think with the courses that are coming up, I first did biomedical sciences as a course. We were doing 3 years. Recently, it's been moved to 4 years. And I think the intakes that were taken in, minus licensure, were about 9. So it is the recent intake of 4 years that is going to be licensed, and that is by Allied Health, that mainly deals with diploma holders. So I'm wondering, how is the University of Higher Education helping us to help us be licensed, the National Council of Higher Education, together with the Ministry of Education, because until now, as the second cohort of intake of biomedical sciences, and if I'm the second intake, meaning over 8 years ago, I've not been licensed. So I came back for medicine. So we need help on that.
So that you get a license.
Yeah.
You're very clever. There was a lady across. Where is she? Yes, she has a microphone. Then the third one was somewhere. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Kachore Bridgeterika. I'm a 4th year medical student, 5th year now at Makerere.
Well done.
So my first question is similar to hers. It's a simple question. So since there are guidelines to the National Council of Higher Education and the regulating bodies, what are the consequences for those universities that are not adhering to the guidelines, if they actually exist? Because why we keep complaining, we don't think there are guidelines, because after senior 6, isn't the Ministry of Health or somebody aware of the numbers that are coming in? They keep getting shocked every year, yet it's a 5-year course, and these students, most of them, we keep progressing to other levels. So are they always aware of the numbers, and what are the consequences of the universities that do not follow? And as she has said, the universities that follow, why don't they deploy us since we have followed the guidelines?
Okay. You see why I chose these women? They're very clear about...
Thank you. My name is Kukiriza Catherine Joy. My issue is kind of similar to theirs because me.
So why don't we just get answers?
No, not kind of similar. But
Okay.
Because I would wonder if someone at Essex applies to, let's say, any of the public universities. Certainly, they are not given because they have an O in biology, perhaps an E. You know, why go ahead and apply to a private? How come private universities can take on the E? And I mean, then the standard keeps lowering. Why would you take on someone with an E and someone with a C, does not make it? Something like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there another lady who wants to say something? She's at the back behind there. That one, and then there's one in a polka dress. Then we come back for answers first, because the issues of ladies must first be quickly addressed before we. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Emily Tumewaza Empora, and I'm in third year. Yes, doing medicine and surgery. I have 2 questions. One is to Dr. Safina. She talked about the Ministry of Education, if I got it right, having virtual reality being implemented, but this is something new. So my question is, what institutions are actually using virtual reality in Uganda? Then the second question is, how is the Ministry of Health working towards fighting the rising crisis of antimicrobial resistance? Thank you.
Poultry. I know about it. There's a lady there in a dotted dress. She's then please bring that microphone to Dr. Safina, because there was a question for her. So you bring that mic here to Dr. Safina here. Let's hear from you, and then Dr. Safina will have some 5 minutes to respond.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Safina, first wait, there's a young lady there, so that you deal with all women issues in one go. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm an optometry student, and I have an issue that is affecting the minority courses.
What are minority courses?
I can explain it like this. The College of Health Science is diverse.
Okay.
Yeah, it has other courses apart from medicine, nursing, dentistry, and pharmacy.
When I was here, there was something called BA flat, so I hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
These courses are very important. I can talk about cytotechnologists. They are the people who specialize in diagnosing cancers.
Right.
Yeah, these people they should be gazetted. You find that cytotechnologists exist, but nobody actually knows about them. Did you know? So also, as my sister talked about biomedical sciences, they also need to be gazetted. Optometry, because I'm an optometrist.
That one I know, because you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my issue, together with my sister who's doing SLT, I think you meant SLT, speech language therapy.
No.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that
BSLT,
department.
that is what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, these SLT people are in charge of, they help kids learn how to speak. People who have had stroke, they help them in rehabilitation, and they can correct speech disorders.
Yeah. So you want those issues, you want them addressed at policy level?
Yes. And also there are our colleagues who do radiology, and also biomedical sciences, biomedical engineering.
Okay.
This group of people, there are not many in the college, but we play a very big fundamental role in health.
So you want to be licensed?
Yeah, we are already licensed, but when it comes to the job aspects, the gazetting, sometimes people don't actually know what we do, and we are not employed for that reason.
You go for internship?
We don't. That's what we want.
Oh, okay. You should have said we also want internship. Okay, but have you finished?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Safina, you've heard the young ladies. They've been very eloquent.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kabushenga. I want to let me start because I'm a teacher, and the person who asked the question on the the virtual reality, which institution is offering this, I want to say that institutions are offering digital facilities, but on small scale. We are not yet there as you would wish. I want to inform you that the digital agenda strategy was launched last year in August. The strategy to have digital in education institutions. And this digital agenda strategy has components. One of them is to have policies and regulations in place. Another one is to ensure that the infrastructure for digital is provided in education institutions. The third one is to ensure that the people to manage such facilities, their capacities are improved on. And then the fourth one is to see that we have research and improved learning as far as digital. I can mention but a few. So from last year to today, you cannot say that we have done much. We are on track, as I told you, that means of education is put in place since that will improve. But if you can visit like Makerere University, there is something going on, because in our study, we found out that about 53% institutions of higher learning were using digital and ICT facilities. So if you visit Makerere University, you can find something in place. When you visit, there's an institution in Western Uganda called the Windy. You can visit an institution in Western Uganda. It's called the Windy College of Nursing. They are using virtual reality and online facilities for teaching health professions. Mainly they teach nurses and clinical officers. So something is being done. We are not yet there, but we are on track. I wanted also to respond to the question of biomedical engineering and why they are not licensed. I know that concern has reached the Ministry of Education, and we evaluated the program for biomedical engineering for the 3 years. Most of the content, more than 70% of the content was engineering. And the regulation could not go to the health profession, but to the engineering board. And the engineering board was regulating biomedical engineering. I'm happy that 1 year has been added on, and Allied are taking them on. What we can do now for our professions, like how the one who posed this question has done, let us add on the 1 year, and then we are regulated to practice by the Allied Professional Council. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And lastly, the minority programs, as he's talked about them. Yes, I want to appreciate the person who raised this. It is upon us, all of us in this room, not only talk about nursing. When you talk about medical professionals, people talk about nursing and medical doctors, and they forget others. Let me volunteer to be one of the ambassadors for you. I'll shout for these other programs. We have nurses and midwives, we have medical doctor and dental surgeons, we have allied health professions, who are very many of them are allied health profession. And then we have pharmacy. We shall talk for you. We need you. You are very special. Don't feel shy.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Godfrey, do you want to? Yes, let Godfrey here, let him make some comments. Then I'll come back to...
Thank you, moderator. Thank you, students, for the concerns that you have raised. Starting with the standards, one thing that I would like to assure you, the standards are there. These standards are not developed.
Godfrey, do you want to put the mic closer to you, or is it off? I think it's off. Why did you switch off? This is malice. Yeah? You want to make the National Council look bad. The college might be closed if you... Oh, it's on.
Okay, thank you. I was responding to the question
raised. Godfrey, take that one, Godfrey.
Thank you. I was responding to a question raised on the guidelines or the standards. The standards are there. These standards are normally developed in consultation with the stakeholders. For example, if it is a program that falls under Uganda Nurses and Midwives Council, all the standards revolving around that are developed in consultation with that professional body, with the other stakeholders. So the answer is the stakeholders are there and we implement them. For example, in the development of the programs, we have guidelines, the minimum standards that institutions have to follow in coming up with this program. The issue of variation in programs is there, but the core course units are there. There is a need to understand the difference between standardizing a curriculum and harmonizing. When we talk of standardizing a curriculum, that is coming up with a uniform curriculum, content, mode of assessment, mode of delivery. Everything is uniform, like national curricula, national programs. Those are standardized. You as universities, you have autonomy. You have leverage to come up with your own programs. Standardizing curricula limits creativity, limits innovation, limits the development of problem-solving skills. Is that where you want us to go? The answer is no. So we should leave the curricula harmonized. The core course units must be uniform, such that a student from University A can move to University B for continuity. Even the academic staff will be free to move because the curricula have been harmonized. Consequences: if the curriculum is not accredited, we don't recognize their qualification. We don't recognize the qualification. I know some of you are going to ask, who are you? We are the regulators. Qualification will not be recognized, and the consequences are really grave. If you used that unrecognized qualification for progressing to another level, even if you reached to PhD, we shall nullify all the qualifications you have accumulated. The issue of admissible numbers, we curb. I was happy with the student who mentioned that for them they are 197. Bonadini, that is already a non-compliance issue. In our database, we granted you permission to admit only 150. Where did the other number come from? Non-compliance issue. Students, have you seen the challenges we are experiencing as regulators? Now, if a public university is non-compliant, what do you expect of a private? Those are challenges. Next is the issue of multiple intakes. We don't allow multiple intakes. We have tried to, listen, we have tried our best to keep on issuing warning letters. We have a record. We keep on warning these institutions, but the challenge we have had is that higher education has been commercialized. So everything has been commercialized, making it very hard for us to regulate, but we are trying our best. There was an issue of a candidate fails to join medicine in Uganda because the person does not meet the admission requirements. A person might have done a combination which is not pointing at medicine. For example, a person has done MEG, mathematics, economics, geography. The person goes out of Africa.
There's biology, art, and geography.
A person enrolls for medicine, qualifies to be admitted for medicine in that country, completes medicine, comes back home with both the transcript and a certificate, goes to Uganda Medical and Dental Practitioner Council, requesting to be either registered or to be placed for internship. Medical council sends the person to us. We look at the qualification. We look at the certificate. We look at the transcript. We get in touch with the other country, the other university, together with the regulatory body in that country. We prove that indeed the university exists. The program was accredited. What next? We try to equate the qualification. We clear the student, but put a condition. Your qualification is equivalent to MBCHB in Uganda. However, you need to go and be cleared by Uganda Medical and Dental Practitioner Council. Have we cleared the student? The answer is no. We have equated the qualification, but we have not cleared. If you look at Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act, Chapter 262, Section 125, it mandates us to accredit the programs. In the case of a professional program, we accredit in consultation with a professional body. So whatever we are doing, we don't do it alone. We do in consultation with a professional body. If it is nursing or midwifery, we get in touch with the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Council. We consult each other and agree whether to clear or not. So that's what we do. There was the issue of students being placed on internship in the rural areas like in northern Uganda, like Kotiro, Kanungu.
Kanungu has developed.
Thank you. There was a statement made that the students don't get exposure. To the best of my knowledge, the hospital for practicum site is pre-qualified. You don't place the students anyhow. The professional bodies must have visited the hospital, assessed it, and after finding that it meets the minimum standards, it is listed under those hospitals for practicum site. So this bit of saying these ones are not receiving adequate training is not true. Are there any facts that you can provide to us as a regulator? Please feel free and provide to us, and we shall take on that.
Okay.
Yes.
Can
the issue of job market and employability, it goes back to program development. When you are developing a program, first you do a needs analysis. You do job market. You also look at the employability. You consult the employers, consult the industry, make consultation with the government. What is that which is needed? What are the competences that are needed for the doctor of today and tomorrow, for the graduate of today and tomorrow? Who are the key stakeholders? Can we involve them in the development of the curricula? Once you have done that, then employability is assured. Job market will also be catered for.
Godfrey, can I have a few more questions? I'm sure there will be some more. You will come back.
Oh.
You have not finished because I still have 4 men.
There is one.
Okay, 1 minute and then I get.
The issue of Bachelor of Nursing Science. Completion or extension and Bachelor of Nursing Science direct. Direct is 4 years. Completion is 2.5. Completion are for those who have already undergone training for 3 years in order to get the diploma. And they have also worked for, I think, a minimum of 3 years 2 or 3 years. So we assume that these people already have some competencies which direct entrants are lacking. So there is no way you can put the two together.
Right.
Thank you.
There's a guy in a checked shirt, and you here. There's a guy in a black t-shirt up on the other side. Okay? And then another one in a checked shirt here in glasses like me. Then I am the dictator.
Okay, thank you very much for organizing this discussion. My name is Dr. Bernard Bakaya.
Okay,
I teach in the College of Health Sciences, but soon I will be joining the Uganda Allied Health Professions Council as the new deputy registrar for that council. So I will become a regulator.
So you have left the principal?
I'm about.
So you can speak freely?
So I can speak freely.
You have 2 minutes, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really, it's very heartening and also disheartening at the same time to discuss this matter, because some of us, it's personal. We chose to be teachers because we really loved it, and to debate how to train the next healthcare professional is a complex matter in this current environment. There are many matters we can discuss and factors, but I will debate 2.
Okay, one.
The first one is really the issue of the numbers vis-a-vis the teacher. And the 2 are related somehow, although they also touch on the facilities, but the teacher. And the teacher comes in 2 ways. If you're going to train the healthcare profession of tomorrow, the actual numbers of the cadres of the teachers in the training institutions is very critical. And it cuts across whether it is a diploma certificate awarding institution, a degree, postgraduate training. It affects every single institution in this country.
So as you're saying, as the numbers grow, we should grow the number of teachers.
The numbers and the cadreships, the different levels. How many professors do you have? Associate professors, senior lecturers, assistants. If you come to Makerere, you'll be shocked how inadequately staffed the university is. If you go to Mbarara, it's the same story. If you go to private institutions, it's the same stories. It's a big problem.
So you're talking about the need to focus on capacity building for the teaching people themselves.
That is the second bit. But the first one I'm talking about is the actual numbers. Recruit the right number of staff.
Are they there?
They are there. You'll be surprised. Of course, some specialist courses, especially graduate courses, will suffer from the specialists being available. But the majority of the staffing are actually present in the country. We're just not hiring them. And partly because the government closed or ceased the recruitment about 5 or 7 years ago. And the ripple effect is going to continue for another 10 years unless we do something fundamentally different.
Okay.
Number 2, the personnel issue also needs to have the quality of that teacher. And that's what Professor Sewankam was talking about. Just because you're smart doesn't make you a teacher. It doesn't. So we need to be
just
intentional.
Because you're a teacher doesn't mean you're smart.
It doesn't mean you're smart. But a teacher needs to be properly trained. You have to be a professional, because these are professional programs. We have to be professional, but then we need to skill
but seriously,
them.
I want to be clear. So it's not just skilling in the medical competence, but there's also the competence in structure.
The teaching, the mentorship, and everything that goes with it. And then concerning the personnel, I'll stop at the personnel. This is where National Council also needs to be serious. My council sometimes does co-opt me to go with National Council for facility verification for health programs. And when you reach there, you can go to Soroti, you see a certain name, you go to Mukono, you see the same name, and you go to another private university, you see the same name. But nonetheless, you go ahead and accredit that program with a percentage of moonlighting staff. Now this has to stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me
Thank
talk
you.
to, yes, so you now are going to use 1 minute.
Thank you for the opportunity. May I have majorly 2 questions?
Number 1.
One goes to Dr. Godfrey. He's talking about regulations and he's saying they are in place, but the issue is implementation. But then where are the loopholes in implementing these available regulations?
Number 2.
Then Dr. Drori talked about the numbers that are not enough to serve the society, though there are enough medical doctors out there without jobs. Yet even the doctor-patient ratio is still very poor in this country. What is stopping absorbing these available medical doctors that are out there?
Very good. Yes, the guy in the black t-shirt. No, that one's on the t-shirt, that's in the sweater. The man in the t-shirt is there. But okay, since you stood up, you take it, he takes it, we close, because you have carried out a coup. Do it quickly,
Hello.
please. Eh?
Yeah, in life, either eat or get eaten. So thank you for the chance and out.
So today you are the lion, I'm the antelope. That's okay, there's no problem.
My name is Terence Kalule. I'm a nurse, and I also have a few issues to put across. When I saw the theme for today's dialogue, I was mostly interested in the perspective of the future of health professionals training. And I'll just proceed to quickly put a few things across.
Number 1.
Diversity in training. You realize that when it comes to the end users of what we are producing as a product, it's such a diverse community. These could be persons living with disabilities, like the deaf, the blind, etc. But when it comes to the training, how equipped are healthcare professionals equipped to meet the demands of the diverse community? So if you're in a clinic and you're approached by a deaf patient, how best are you going to help them? If it is a pregnant mother who is deaf and she's going to give birth and they're coming in to your facility as an emergency, what's the likelihoodness that that would end up as an emergency? That is the first point. The second point should be specialization in practice. This has grown with regard to medicine, mostly medicine, because after the first degree, the MBCHB, you find that, yes, a doctor has very many options from which to choose.
Now I need you to finalize, finally.
Okay, but we need to open up more channels to specialization. So if a medical doctor, MO, can become a gynecologist, oncologist, etc., what are the chances also these other specialties can also upgrade? I am a cardiac nurse, but I didn't have my specialized training from here. But what are the chances more of this can be opened, within the region?
Okay. Please hand over the mic. Because we're dealing with time. Please hand over the mic. Okay. No. Please pass it on to,
Thank you very much. I have a few concerns.
No. How many?
Yes, specifically they are 2. They are about biomedical lab technology at COVAB and bachelors of biomedical science. Dr. Safina said that at the end of the 4 years now, those people will, the biomedical scientists...
Get to the concern, because we're going to lose time.
Yeah, the biomedical scientists will be registered as medical laboratory technologists, and also we have biomedical lab technologists at COVAB. Okay. So you find that there are 2 professionals at the same university that are released out there. So is it an inconsistency of the university or the Allied Health Council?
Number 2.
And then I'm worried about the competence. Will those people, because at the 3 years, they couldn't fit in any medical field, by medical scientists. But then they were added 1 year, and then they will be registered as biomedical laboratory technologists. Will that 1 year give them the required competence to fit in that field? Thank you.
We give them 3. Okay, bring in my mic. I want to take advantage. David, allow me to abuse power and allow the pre-interns. 1 question. And please get to the point straight. Don't. You have a spokesman?
Thank you so much. Okay. The first question is, it goes to Dr. Druwali and Dr. Onyaiti. you said that we have commercialization of medical training. Are you considering the consequences of these students who sit for 1 year? If you do this for 10 years, where is this country heading?
Number two.
Of recent, the government said it doesn't need volunteers in their hospitals. So these printers who sit for 1-2 years, where do you want them to go? Should they go back and start cultivating coffee?
Yeah, come and pick coffee.
3.
I need specialized labor.
Yeah, the third one is, if you are deploying students in these interns in August, and up to now we don't have a list, why do you handle us like a crisis? Bring out the list. If we are not there, we see the next action.
Good.
Finally, deploy all medical interns. Thank you.
So, this is what I'm going to do. I am now 3 minutes into another activity of other people. So I'm going to start with Dr. Driwale. 2 minutes to respond very quickly. Then I'll come to Onyait very quickly. Then Dr. Safina will close. And then I'll hand back to the doctors. I need to go back to things I understand the best. Yes.
So thank you. I'm talking to the health professionals of tomorrow.
Yeah.
The issue of antimicrobial resistance, which was raised, it is a professional responsibility for us. Number one, it is a regulation problem because we're buying antibiotics over the counter without prescription. Regulation has failed.
We're also feeding them. We're also feeding them to animals.
We are feeding them onto animals, and we practice polypharmacy and so on. So it is professional. It's both regulation failure, clinical competence, and an issue of patient education. So it rests squarely with us, the professionals of tomorrow. The issue which was also raised about internship, all professions now want to do internship. The training of doctors, we have red labels. We used to be told that you are dangerous. Don't touch the patient. You are trained with your hands at your back. Then it is when you finish the 5 years that someone has to walk you through internship so that you can now acquire the skills. But if you are having a laboratory technician who is being trained with the hands in the back and requires internship, then that's a disaster. For example, if you are training an anesthetist, he spends all the 4 years and then wants the internship to perfect his trade, then there's a problem. And I think also the same happens with the competencies in nursing. These are things which you must do with your hands. If you didn't learn it in 4 years, and then you want to do a crash in 1 year and expect to be good, I think the universities are not doing us in their programs justice. And we are all the potential victims of this approach in training. The last issues are of administrative nature. If you don't have the money, you cannot deploy. This I can say it without apologies. Number two, you must also have enough institutions, space. The production has overwhelmed our capacity to deploy interns, and it goes back to regulation. So by the way, this is not only a Ugandan issue. The number of interns in Kenya accumulated to 80,000. Then the parliament in this financial year allocated money because they thought the problem was money. The money is now enough. The placement sites are not there. So you dig a pit to fill a pit. You are still left with a pit. So this is a crisis.
Tell them to pay for them and they come here.
Yes. So this is a big issue, and I think we don't need to pretend about it, and we need to discuss it honestly and find lasting solutions, which I thought came through our discussions here. Thank you very much.
Okay. Godfrey, 2 minutes.
Thank you, presenter. Part of what I was to respond on has already been addressed by Dr. Driwaru on regulation. What are the loopholes? Lack of adherence to the standards, limited funding, limited monitoring, lack of expertise. This has already been mentioned. Then the issue of numbers, lecturers versus students. The issue is, it is true, in most of the universities we visit, you will find that the number of students is far, far much greater than the lecturers. And yet, when we are accrediting the program, we look at the human resource. We come up with the staff-student ratio. If the staff-student ratio has been met, it is through that we derive the admissible number. So when we are communicating the accreditation of the program, we clearly state that this program has been accredited for this number of years with the admissible number of this per year. But this is not being followed.
Close them.
In most cases, we do monitor, but not all, due to limited funding. The issue of closing, we have done it. We have closed universities. We have also nullified qualifications. For example, one of the universities that we closed but continued operating, when they were conducting graduation, what shocked us, we went there with the police. Reaching to the venue, what do we get?
Military.
We got military police with machine guns. This direction, machine gun. The other direction, so our police could not get out of the vehicle. Those are the challenges we are meeting.
Godfrey, we need to
so
wind
the only
it up.
solution was to go to air to nullify the qualification. Then there was the issue of some staff appearing in almost all the universities. The challenge we have had is when I was still a lecturer and participating in program reviews, I was given a program to review for some university, but I got shocked to find my name. Then I asked, how did my name appear here? So that is the same problem which is happening. You will find that you have no knowledge at all of the university, but your name is appearing there under Department of Anatomy. You go to University B, your name is again appearing there, Department of Anatomy, without your knowledge. That is a big challenge that we are having. There was something I didn't complete on the Bachelor of Nursing Science Direct and Bachelor of Nursing Science Extension / completion. For you to move directly to second year, the institution must have what we call exemption policy. Short of this policy, there is no way you can be exempted.
Right.
Then the transfer from one university to another, the institution must have what we call credit accumulation and transfer policy. Short of that policy, the transfer cannot be effected. Thank you.
Right. Dr. Safina.
Thank you. I want to start with the one of people working in more than one institution. Can we have that information? Because there is a policy in place. You cannot get 2 salaries. So give us the information if you have it, then we can work on it and reprimand that person who is doing that. Unfortunately, even some of you are going to become victims of moonlighting. Let us pray that you will not go in that direction. Mr. Kabushenga, I want to say 5 things, but in 1 minute.
Okay.
Uganda is on the right track towards quality health training, education and training. Strategies must be put in place to handle all these challenges that we have raised so that we reduce them or eliminate them. We have to go innovative, we have to collaborate, we have to create partners and quality assurance if we have quality future health professionals. And we need to continue investing in training health professions for this country, but also we need to align policies and also to complete those ones that are in the making so that we have clear policies that are guiding training. That is one way that we shall solve all these challenges that we are raising. I want to thank you, Chair, and the organizers of this meeting. And I want to emphasize, let me not forget this, and to give credit to Professor Sewankambo and all those that came up of all health professionals that want to go for education, to be educated, to do the work of teaching. I know that a lot of work has been done. Professor Sarah is doing this in Makerere, and we have started on the conversation. Now we can even have them in these lower training institutions for them to serve. I think we are again on the right track for that. Even you, the people who are graduating, don't just go to health training institutions and start teaching. Come for a postgraduate diploma in education, and then you go for teaching. I thank you and submit.
Right. So this is the point at which I ask you to clap for me, because I believe I've done an excellent job. Ask my panel to step down, and I hand the platform right back to David and say goodbye. I won't be joining you in the merrymaking because there are a lot of NCDs being generated there. So
thank you very much, Mr. Kabushenga, for, I think you were not very brutal. The audience is the one that seemed to have been brutal. But as before we close, and I think it's two quick things. Dr. Sabrina Chitaka is going to come and 2 minutes. What are we taking away from this? But before that, I just want to invite Dr. Frank Asimwe, who is the Vice President of Uganda Medical Association, to make a few remarks. And then we'll have Sabrina, and then we'll close. Thank you.
2 minutes will do. Thank you very much, David. You're so kind. Makerere University, you've done a great job by starting this conversation. And I want to thank the keynote speakers for doing very good justice to this subject. And the panelists have also been great. I'm called Dr. Asimwe Frank, consultant urologist, and recently transplant surgeon at the Mulago National Referral Hospital. I have prepared a few things, and I will utilize 2 minutes. I see 3 animals in this discussion. A huge angry elephant with a long-term memory. To always come back to remember what you did to it. I see an angry buffalo that needs to be tamed, and in some areas they tame them and milk them. And I see a silent killer, a leopard. Let me begin with the elephant in the room. The regulation. We cannot continue lamenting and standing and being surprised that numbers are overwhelming us. We must catch this at entry, year 1, for MBCHB, at when you're transiting from preclinical to 3rd year. You must do a national final exam so that you have got a standard exam. That way, not only will you control the numbers, but you also be able to expect how many are going to come out. So National Council of Higher Education, Ministry of Health, please. This is the elephant, and it can be tamed. In some areas, they ride them. But if we compromise quality, we'll be in trouble. The buffalo, which is very angry, is the quantity. Again, we cannot be seen to be lamenting. This is what I call post-harvest handling. For crying out aloud, we have got a 1 doctor to 25,000 Ugandans. Why are we lamenting Rwanda next door, 1 doctor to 8,000? Let's make that aim at least, copy Rwanda. Let's handle the numbers. How do we handle the numbers? The teachers are there. People who are finishing M.Med. Those are the supervisors of the interns. Deploy them. My boss, Dr. Duwari, please, by squeezing us with these words of Simanyi economy, no. How many recruitments has UPDF carried out? Why does it, when it reaches the medical workers who do not shoot and kill people, then the budget is small? Let us increase the budget to health, period. Please say it. I don't know why you people fear these things. We need money to go to the health units. Deploy the associate consultants. That way, deploy them on the national referrals, regional referrals, district hospitals. That way, all these district hospitals, PNFPs, even private hospitals can supervise these interns. And finally, which animal is remaining? The leopard. The leopard, the silent killer. These interns are giving meager resources. They have nowhere to stay. They have nothing to eat. They are going to be raped because they're sleeping in funny places. And the money is there. Let's share this national cake properly. I thank you.
I know I'm standing between you and dinner, so I'll be very quick. Thank you again, David, and thank you everyone for being here until this time. To our chief guests and speakers, well done. And to the last panel, thank you for speaking out because you are the angry buffaloes. So I just want to say that, like Mr. Kabushenga said, we must stop the zero game. It is important for us to stop gerrymandering, if that's a good word to say. But I'll also say that from the summary I made, I think that we are all looking at meritocracy. Gone are the days when meritocracy has been put off the table. But I want to say that meritocracy in its ideal form is a system where rewards and advancements are given key abilities. And I know that here in this room is the cream de la cream. You scored high A's, you scored B's, you scored what? We must be rewarded for our good results. And like someone mentioned, increasing investing in health and education is investing in our economy. So again, put the money on the table for health and education. Last of all, I'd like to say that in the summary of all the things that were said, which were amazing, and I know that there are rapporteurs who are going to do a report, the one thing I picked up was leadership. Leadership at the policy level, at institutional level, but also at individual levels. Let us not be the kind of people to go and give birth to many, many, many children just because we want to be part of the population explosion. The second one is on planning, and this includes looking at the National Development Plan. Have we all read it? Let us read the National Development Plan and hold the NDP planners accountable to what they put in that plan. The third one is on professionalism. Professionalism and ethics is so key, and that even as the regulators give us guidelines, let us follow them. And let us have one standard, not double standards. Let the standards be one. Finally, it's in funding. I have a quote here that no matter how evil money may be, please don't think that being broke is holy. Nobody wants to be broke. So we need a bigger resource envelope to employ all the interns. Second of all, we need to motivate people. And motivating does not always mean money. It means respecting people. It means thanking people when they do good work. And at this point, I'd like to say a big, huge thank you. Please turn to your neighbor and say, I hope you learned something. Let this conversation not stay in this room. Let us keep tweeting and retweeting until it gets to the right ears, the elephants in the room. Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we all know the colleagues. I'm really, really pleased that we've been able to sit here and have this conversation. And I want to especially thank the principal of the College of Health Sciences, who has been very supportive. But I also want to thank Professor Sawankambo and Professor Omaswa for making time. You have been around, and I think you lived and enjoyed a part of your life when things were way better than they are now. But I think we want to go back to the days of excellence, because I think those are some of the comments that Professor Omaswa said. I keep telling students that one of the things that, I think the thing that we love immensely in Uganda is mediocrity. And we just wallow in mediocrity. Hopefully this is part of perhaps the beginning of having conversations around pursuing excellence, meritocracy, but also, I think, beginning to value our lives. I think sometimes the value that you place on yourself and the value that you place on other people's lives plays a huge role in the choices that you make. And is this part of the reason we are not investing sufficient funding in certain sectors in our country? What's that underlying issue? Is it just the value that we are placing on ourselves? So as the college celebrates its centennial, the alumni, there are a couple of alumni in the room. We're going to pursue you to support the commemoration events. In October, this is one of the events. In October, we will have some student activities, I think a run and a medical camp. And then December 12th, please mark that date. We are marking that date by faith. The principal has many plans which he has communicated to us as the committee. We are looking for a huge resource package, but we also know that we have a huge resource package in you, the alumni. So we will definitely keep you updated on those plans, and the committee is going to start weekly meetings in earnest. They've been meeting, but at least now one thing is out of the way, which we hope is going to have impact as we go forward. And if I'm to speak on behalf of that principal, we are happy to organize another dialogue next year. I know that there are constituents who were not part of these panels, and they've already been concerns expressed. So we will try and include as many constituents as possible as part of the stakeholder conversations. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending, and those online as well. We will now proceed to a cocktail, and you're welcome to enjoy the rest of your evening and have a lovely weekend. God bless. Thank you.